What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with your latest entry of Postgame Live, and a 54-point win against the Pies feels pretty bloody good. The Cats getting the job done, 18-14, 122 to the Pies, 9-14, 68. Completely derailing all of the fluff and noise about Scott Pendlebury not breaking a record, just equaling it. And we got to celebrate Tommy Stewart's 200th game in style. Looking forward to getting chat to all of you who are in the chat at the moment. And of course, over the course of the night, many who will come in and join the conversation with me soon. Right now, the green room is empty. So please, if you're keen to get on and talk about the game, you can see a QR code there in the top right corner of the screen. Use that QR code, get in and be a part of the conversation. And of course, there's also a link that will be posted semi-regularly. I'll do that now as well, just to kick things off. There's a link there in the chat for people to use also. Big wins like this against an opponent where it's normally a bit of an arm wrestle are fantastic affairs. So looking forward to kind of pulling this one apart. Of course, while I am waiting for, and this is still very fresh, the song has only just been sung. While I'm waiting for anyone who's been at the game to jump in, while we're looking for the usuals, Ethan and co, who usually show up as well. Just some top-level thoughts from me about the game. Of course, my full review reaction video will be live tomorrow morning, where I guess I'll try and get a bit more comprehensive with my thoughts around the game, and certainly have a bit more time to sit and digest on it. But, I mean, Oisin Mullin, perhaps his best game of the season. Sorry, not just of the season, perhaps of his career to this point. The way he completely shut down Nick Dacos, but also got incredibly prolific himself, I think this is where I've wanted to see him and many other taggers, of course, in the game kind of go. In the last 10 years, in this kind of post Cameron Ling sort of era, we've really seen more Kane Cornses of the world who were just locked down, just try and squash the opponent, not really play too much of an offensive game. And I think that's kind of why the tagger kind of faded in relevance over the years. But Osh is going both ways. He's got the wheels to go both ways, but he's doing a fantastic job shutting down his opponent. He spent a lot of time last year really learning how to do that. But now he's starting to be a part of those chains going forward. And I'm really, really impressed by what he's bringing to the table. Of course, Bailey Smith had 40 disposals on the night. Max Holmes with 33. There were lots of other great numbers. Reece Stanley was pretty impressive in his first game for the Cats for the season, at the AFL level anyway. Danger regaining some touch. Brad Close is looking good. There were lots of highlights over the course of the night. Some really, really impressive efforts from a range of different players. There's honestly not many negatives that I can cite. Jack Bowes was one who were certainly within our Hoops Crew community Discord over the course of the night. He was one that we're getting a bit critical of, probably through the first three quarters. Some decision-making, some poor execution from him. But even through that last quarter, and admittedly it was junk time, but for the most part in that last quarter, but even he started to get going. And of course, kicked that goal that trickled through after the final siren as well. James Worpel with his best game for the Cats, I think, was absolutely fantastic. One of the biggest criticisms that we've all, I think, had of James Worpel, including a lot of former fans of his from the Hawthorn Football Club, would all criticize his disposal efficiency. He was really clean tonight. His decision-making was great. And then the way he executed upon that was fantastic as well. And he continued to just put his head over the ball and attack. He was great. Honestly, I can't really think of a player I go, that was a bit of a nothing sort of a day. There were some that were, better than others. You're not going to have every bloke getting 20 plus disposals. So of course, for all that we talk about some of those who were really prolific, Tom Atkins had a quieter one with 12. Tanner Bruin had a quieter one with 15, but there's not a lot to see here. I am curious to see what's gone on with Tom Atkins, and please chat. Let me know some of your thoughts as well. Because he did go down the race at one point. No one on the commentary teams alluded to what it was that was actually the problem. So if you've heard anything, if you've seen anything on Twitter, if it's been spoken about on radio or TV, and I've missed that, please share those thoughts in the comments, because I'm a little bit, I guess, mystified at the moment as to what the Tom Atkins condition is. But honestly, there were some fantastic players. And I didn't even mention Ollie Henry, who's obviously been kind of on the outs over the course of the last 12-month period, and has really done a lot of work this season to reestablish himself in that starting 23. Kicked 4 goals, 2 today. Took some hangers, could have taken another big one, bounced to the ground, kicked a goal straight off the back of it. He was fantastic as well. Honestly, I can't really think of too many negatives. So yeah, that's some top level thinking from me. But I can see that Ethan has popped into the green room. So Ethan, if you're good to go, I'll start to bring you in, mate. By the way, everyone, we do have Ben. He is in Bali at the moment and has told me he does plan to beam himself in at some point. And I've got a little graphic prepared for him for the moment that he does. And until that point, he can remain on the outs. So let me get the layout going and we'll bring Ethan in. How's things, mate?
Pretty good. That was fun.
It was fun.
I'm never overconfident going into a game. I was cautiously optimistic about this one. I just think we do match up pretty well with them.
Yeah.
But, you never expect a game against them to be decided by more than 20 points at most. That's just not the way they play. That's just not the way we match up with them. And so it turned out tonight we just took advantage of a lot of skill errors on their part. We were not the most skilled ourselves first half.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
We cleaned it up.
Yeah. We've got a comment here from a Pie supporter, and everyone be good to them because this individual's come in and has been very humble and quite respectful in there. Just like to say, as a Pie fan, that was amazing. Congrats. Seriously, we deserve all the ridicule.
Who is that a photo of? I'm trying to see who his photo is.
Yeah, I don't recognize. But JFR.
It looks like Chad Pinder. Might be a golfer.
If you can clarify who that picture is,
it is Chad Pinder. Oh my God.
I don't know. Sorry, what's Chad Pinder from? What sport is Chad play?
Baseball. Utility player who's now a minor league coach.
Right. Okay.
That is awesome.
Rashi has just popped in and also said that Jack Bose, or Bose, as Ben has spelled him, was having an ordinary evening until Amy bagged him. Yeah, Amy and a few of us had dunked on him pretty significantly in the Discord, and then all of a sudden he felt the feedback from wherever Amy's based and where the rest of us are all based, and suddenly just, like I said, the decision making was a bit better, the execution was a bit better, and Roaming's jumping in on that with the correct/incorrect spelling of Bose. There we go. So JFR clarifying the baseball a little bit further. So talk to me.
First half was some of the same kind of sloppiness that we've done,
Shout out to Curty Dunt, who believes that I've been a part of some sort of tax fraud. Come here. Shout out to you, mate.
But I thought after halftime, we were a lot cleaner. Right away, get the goal out the middle, and then I thought we attacked the wing really well. Our game plan tonight was really solid, with the exception of, it seems like DeGoey always plays well against us, and we let him get
doesn't mind a game against the Cats. You're right.
For as well as we've done with Dacos largely, DeGoey did get going, and Bowler, to his credit, someone you see as a weakness on their end, he actually was all right, but we caught a break. Like, McCreary's a really good, really dangerous player. I love the way he attacks. He was awful tonight. We have a weekly award, worst on round. We give out to just, the single worst player across the entire competition for the week. And he'll be in the running this week for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got a few games to go, but who's heading that list, or who are the players that you're factoring in or considering at this particular point in time? McCreary.
If Frio hadn't come back, Luke Ryan was trending that way the other night too.
That's fair. I'm just going to check. I'm going to check some of his numbers because, he butchered it time after time after time. I'm curious to see what the final disposal efficiency was like for Beau McCreary.
Don't expect him to do that again. I would expect
he was going at 65% in the end. So,
but he got after it late after the pressure dropped. But let's see.
I think the errors were probably significant errors. So,
yeah. Let's see. Player ratings are up. They've got Smith, then Mullen, Then Pendlebury, Mana,
seven turnovers and 6 clangers for Bo McCreary. So while his efficiency was fine, when he turned it over, they were colossal errors. Yeah. I know obviously we're a very Geelong focused platform, and we'll definitely spend a lot of time talking about the Cats, but JFR continues here. And would just love a bit of an unbiased opinion from the both of us about the Pies and I guess where they're at and what's the problem for them. I'll get you to lead off. Do you have any particular thoughts on the Pies, what we saw tonight? But I guess, probably casting the net a little bit more broadly as well, because they were well and truly outplayed. And then the sting came out of the game probably half to 3/4 of the way through the third quarter. So I mean, there's certainly a good chunk of it we can ignore.
They could have been up at halftime.
Yeah.
Their skill errors were a little more critical than ours, and we were cleaner on our entries and in front of goal. But the biggest thing, the issue that they've had has gotten exposed by a lot of teams. They're not super fast for the most part.
Yeah.
They're really leaning on just a couple of main guys. And if you can get them to ground level, they struggle. That's where Hawthorn's humiliated them, and that's where Hawthorn should have been able to beat them easily last week. I appreciate their good goal kicking coming against them instead of us. That was nice.
Well, yeah, certainly, yeah. There's the Foster's can. We love it.
Got a couple other things too. Don't worry.
Good. I just think the disposal inside 50 is never great. There's too many slow plays when it comes to the Pies. They're quite meticulous. Their skill set is their skills aren't too bad, but they allow opposition teams, and Geelong is a team that often gets exposed on that slingshot play going the other way. But Collingwood seem unwilling to play that fast and loose wild.
They're not fast enough. And again, if you can get them out of that kick mark game, get them to ground level, that's where you expose them. And that's where Dangerfield was huge tonight.
Yeah.
The disposals were nice, but the couple of packs that he was able to crash to get opportunities for other guys, that was every bit as important and every bit as good. And I'm really happy with the way he produced.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I think they're lacking a bit of depth too, just I guess on the Pie side. I think the depth thing is a bit of a problem. Oh, there you go. Big fella's kind of said, look, I won't, the too old thing, I'm not going to kind of subscribe too much to that, because for all that you've got someone like a Pendlebury and a steel side bottom on the top end, you've also got your Nick Dacos's who have been, in the top 5 players for the last few years. And he's still 22, 23 now. And they've got some other young blokes coming through as well. But
I like the kid Anderson. We did a good job.
Yeah, Angry Anderson's pretty decent.
Until it was late. But he's kind of just vintage Collingwood player, really good in the guts. I like him. I think we match up pretty well with them in general. And then, like I said, and I think this got exploited more than anything. It was round 22 last year. They played Hawthorn on a Thursday, and every time it went to ground level, someone for Hawthorn was out and was just killing them. And I think other teams have acknowledged that and tried to do that same thing, which you're supposed to do. In this case, thanks Sam Mitchell for exploiting that and showing the rest of the competition how to beat them.
How to do it.
It's not surprising then, save for a game this year when the Giants were injured to hell and back, why GWS has done so well against them. It's teams with speed. It's teams that can just, whether it's through the corridor or on the wing. And that's something I loved in that third quarter, was that balance we had between the wing and going straight down the gut. That was really nice. And that's where Ollie Dempsey really took off after a pretty clumsy first half. I really liked the way he played to ride that one out.
And both by hand and by foot, it was very interesting to see Geelong really chaining handball and forward handball tonight.
There was one in particular that started at our own goal square.
Yeah, and it just worked its way, hugging the boundary line at different stages there, but led to a goal. And it wasn't really the cleanest of plays either. Every single handball, every single disposal within that had to be really well executed. There wasn't a lot of degree or margin for error, but the way they linked up was, if we're thinking of the same play here, they linked up incredibly well and resulted in a goal. Then there were others that were just clean.
It was the second goal of the third quarter that was that change. Because I mean, we were really sloppy by hand first half. And again, that's been a thing all year. But I think our foot skill was better tonight. We had a couple of pretty bad turnovers that they didn't punish early on. And then after that, we didn't have any really bad ones until one Lawson gave up in garbage time. And at that point, who cares?
Yeah, very un-Lawson-like though.
Oh, yeah. I'm not worried about that.
No, it doesn't happen.
A huge win with a massive stretch of games coming up to kick off. At the start of the year, this one looked more intimidating than it turned out to be. But this is a really unforgiving stretch between now and the bye. And to kick it off with a win is just massive. We've got a fucking gauntlet ahead, a bunch of Thursday and Friday nights, 3 interstate trips, couple of short weeks. So we got a lot ahead of us, but I really like the way we finished that game out. Again, just Ollie Dempsey got going after halftime. Tanner Roon didn't have a ton of it, but was cleaner. Brad Close looks totally back.
Yeah, he looks
good games in a row.
We'd obviously all been expressing the concerns for quite a while, but this was Brad Close of, I don't know. I'm going to play it safe and just say 24 months ago.
Yeah, only 10 disposals, but a couple other plays he got involved with and the 2 goals. And Sam de Koning, one of the best all-around games I've ever seen him play. He only got 2 marks, but he was just involved in every contest positively. I thought he was gigantic for us.
Yeah. No, agreed. Honestly, I'm really, and kind of as I said, as I was introing and buying time for yourself or anyone else to jump in, I can't really think of any weaknesses in the team tonight. There were certainly moments, like people had moments.
I mean, Atkins was a little quiet and then got hurt, but he had one really nice play.
Do you know what? And maybe the chat said it somewhere along the way. Maybe I just missed it. Do we know what it actually was that was the problem? I'm pretty sure I end up seeing him on field afterwards, but I'm pretty confident I saw him trying to chase a few down later on in the piece in the fourth quarter. But
if you really wanted to pick a negative, I mean, Kolajashny was a little shaky tonight. I
felt like in the first half, but then there was some really great backing into the contest instances or backing back with the flight. He was the one guy between the pies and the goals, and he held on to the mark. There was a few of those sort of ones which were fantastic.
Yes. I thought our back 6 as a whole were just really, really smooth fundamentally. Like once or twice getting beat through the air, and that was about all. O'Sullivan just quietly consistent and has to be such a pain in the ass to deal with at this point. And then
I was a bit worried about him early. He didn't start the game off. There was that first mark he took at the very beginning of the game was fantastic. And then there was about a 15-minute patch where he was a bit wobbly. His disposal wasn't great. Decision-making wasn't perfect. And then he worked his way out of that pretty quickly as well.
He had that kick go straight through his hands. And then after that, he was pretty sharp. And James Warple, who I've been advocating for dropping, I thought he was really sharp tonight. He was clean, smart decision maker, good at ground level. It's still like having him and Atkins and Bowes makes the midfield sometimes a little bit slow and redundant.
Yeah.
But I thought he was actually pretty sharp for what it's worth.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Hard in the contest, which is kind of his one wood, but at the same time, the decision-making was great, and most importantly for him is the execution was good. Often that's the thing, is he can make the right decisions, but hack the kick or it kind of has too much float and arc on it, and so forwards get run under the ball or it sails over their heads. I was really impressed.
If he can just be like poor man's Clayton Oliver, take that any day.
Yeah,
and that's what he gave us. He gave us, not even poor man's, just like
he gave us Clayton Oliver. Yeah, I thought he was great. That second half was one of the most satisfying stretches we've played. Even though, look, end of the third quarter, that could have been a lot more interesting. They could have had that back in that 3-goal range where they're just one stretch from Dacos away from doing something crazy. Yeah.
We very politely offered them to come back into the game, and they even more politely declined to. And I think that's maybe the first time this year I guess the Bulldogs were pretty poor against us, but I think that was more our doing than theirs. This is the first time.
Not to mention, obviously, the injuries and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
They were pretty depleted at that point too. So
this is the first time I think we've really gotten to capitalize on a whole bunch of unforced errors, which, again, I mean, at one point they were like 5-14 in front of goal, and there were some very uncharacteristic misses there. In those stretches, after we had gotten the lead out to about 30, where they had a couple opportunities to make things interesting. So, can't say this was a perfect performance. Can definitely say when we play them again in like August, it's either end of July or start of August.
Yeah. I'll double check that now as we're chatting. But
you got to expect
27th of July.
Yeah, that I think I was trying to map out what the fixture might look like. I'm thinking they might make that a Friday nighter.
So I need to go and try and find the source here, but I saw it in the Discord earlier today, and I apologize to whoever it was in the Hoops Crew community who tagged me in this. I'm feeling like it might have been Shadu. There's some talk that the AFL, I don't know if it was as soon as this year, or at least they're talking about next year, where they're for this back half of the season, the dates, they're not even going to do it. Okay, here it all is now up to round 23, and we'll just leave the floating fixture for round 24. That sounds like they really want to go piecemeal. And that is, I've seen a few people requesting things to get nuffed.
That is ridiculous.
But that's the one for me. So unless something completely blows it out of the water, the nuff of the week's going to go to the fixturing team, because this is absolutely wild. Ben, hope you're paying attention over there in Bali right now. I needed that thumbnail. It'll be about the fixturing.
Because I was looking, especially last year, and I mean, there's slim chance I could make it over this year. Unlikely, but not completely impossible. But just trying to map out what schedules would look like, and trying to
get yourself here for September. That's when it matters.
You're trying to figure out what's your Thursday games, what's your Friday games.
Yeah.
And there are some weeks where it's pretty thin. What I think they should do is release it all at once, obviously, but maybe do have an agreement with the networks like the NFL where, they can flex a couple games. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, talk me through it.
So, the NFL has its national TV games Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night.
Yeah.
And a couple times a year, networks can flex a game. Like, for example, if you schedule a game for, say, week 14, that's your Sunday night game, and then it turns out, both these teams suck, then you
shuffle it into the
ESPN and NBC and those can flip one or two out and knock the crappy game down to some afternoon time slot and get a better game for that Sunday night.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so the schedule's all laid out from the start, but they have
at what point? And sorry, this is just my ignorance to it. At what point do they go? Okay, now we're too close. It's locked. Is it? I think it's within a month out, or
I think it's just a 2 or 3 week window, which every now and then can be a real pain. Like this past year, they moved one from a Sunday to a Thursday that was Broncos Chargers, and there's a ton of Broncos fans in and making the trip to LA for that game. So that gets a little tricky, but generally they're, you get the word a month out.
Yeah, right.
And then they leave the very last week, until that's the one that they don't schedule until you find out everything. Because, final week of the season, then you have playoff spots up for grabs, and then they make sure all right, we're gonna only the week before they schedule that very last week. But that would be, I think, something that the league should consider doing instead of leaving people in the dark for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, we've got Kerry here just acknowledging that Ben will probably be on his 10th $2.50 beer in Bali. Now, Ben is in the background right now, and we'll bring him in due course. You might have everyone watching might have seen the screen, the layout changed temporarily as Ben jumped into the stream there. I kicked him back out again, and we'll bring him in due course. But we'll see. We'll see how he's slurring his words when the time comes. I believe I can see a bit of a pull in the background there or something. Yep, there's the pull in the background. So he's ready to go. He's I'll keep my graphics to myself until the time comes, but more on Ben shortly.
Sorry, I just saw a great stat from Sir Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah, but
I mean, he always has good stuff. This one's great. Game
number. I haven't seen Swamp much this year, so it's awesome.
Game number 432 has the worst record of any AFL career game, average losing margin of 58 points.
0% win rate.
Yeah. Looks because Brent Harvey's final game, they lost an elimination final to the Crows by 62.
Yeah, right. These clubs doing a good job of supporting their champions. No, it's a ladder position thing, whatever. It is what it is. But that is an entertaining one.
I liked Pendlebury's interview. You could tell he wanted to get the hell out of there. It's like, come on, we got to go recognize Stewart. Let's go.
Yeah, I did think that. Like, we don't like to acknowledge the Pies too much. Most supporter bases don't like to acknowledge the good things that the Pies will do at times. But Pendles is a class individial, and the way he handled that interview was fantastic. You kind of knew that he was going to have to do this thing, win, lose, or draw. It was close enough to the worst possible result for him in the club with a hiding, but he still got up there, did it respectfully, and then made sure that he was there to properly respect Tom Stewart as well. So, and then he got his little bit of, I mean, obviously his big milestone is 2 weeks away now, but even though he didn't properly acknowledge that either, he was, I'm sure you noticed his wording there was very, we'll see. Like, I've got to get into recovery and we'll see what happens. Like he's fencing. He doesn't want to publicly say, I'm not playing next week. But then he trotted off there, and Chris Scott was there to meet him. Nathan Buckley was there to meet him. Obviously, he's his old coach.
Yeah.
There's some really good moments there along the way.
Yeah, it was just annoying that how much it overshadowed Stewart. Like when he does it, give him all the attention. That'll be great.
Equaling the record is not the milestone.
Yeah. Breaking the record is. And frankly, I think maybe I'm in the minority on this, but like Jack Crisp's record might honestly be more impressive, because to do that in a row, you can't wake up with an upset stomach on game day even once. I don't
know. I guess there's kind of arguments to both ways, right? Like you've got one scenario where there's absolutely going to be hints of luck in the case of the Jack Crisp one, to have just been fortunate enough to have not gotten injured, or to have not woken up with that bug, as you've just alluded to. And then you've got the Pendlebury one, or the Brent Harvey one from back in the day as well, which is it's a real story of resilience, and you've taken a few hits over the journey, you've missed a few games, but it's just it's that discipline, it's that work, that body of work he's put in. So, yeah.
That's something that I think anyone can acknowledge and appreciate.
Whilst also playing at that absolute highest level along the way.
I mean, if you watched, yes, it was against Essendon, but his performance on Anzac Day was unbelievable. Even before he started, going for volume possessions. Like from a quality and quantity standpoint, he was sensational that day.
Yeah.
Wow. Looking through some of the stats right now, I did not realize just how well Lawson graded out. 9 score involvements and 8 intercepts.
Yeah, right. I wasn't, especially in the first half. I wasn't wowed by Lawson's game. Didn't think he put in a bad game, but I wasn't sitting back going, "Oh, that was a really impressive performance from Lawson Humphreys."
Quieter second half.
Stats wise suggests otherwise.
Quieter second half, but I loved Zach Guthrie. His first half, let me pull up. I had messaged what his halftime stats were. He didn't do much to improve him that much after halftime, but let's see here. Scrolling. Gryan wants out. All right, at halftime,
we're going to have to talk about Gryan shortly, but
yes, at halftime, 92% efficiency, 5 contested possessions, 7 uncontested, 4 score involvements, 5 intercepts. So after halftime, only 2 score involvements and 2 intercepts. Didn't get it as much, but with all the time we spent defending in the first half, he really deserves a lot of credit for making sure the walls didn't cave in. And I don't think he's going to get recognized in any coaches' votes or anything, but definitely a positive contributor. I'm still struggling on what to do with votes.
Yeah, you could throw a blanket over 8 probably 8 guys and go, and possibly even more than that, and go, any one of them could feature in a 3, 2, or 1 spot.
Here he is.
But yes, let's take the opportunity to talk Gryan. Obviously, you've got the cat-based version of Gryan there, but let's talk about the fact that Gryan Miers made his return through the VFL today. What did you make of, and did you get to see any footage or do much reading into the Gryan Miers situation today?
I was paying attention to it, but I was not able to watch. I was out for the afternoon. That started at like 7 p.m. my time.
Yeah, okay.
And then the Sydney North game ended up being way better than expected. That makes our second half against North, or at least our final quarter and a half, look way better. They could have easily won that game today. They played really well.
Look, it did feel like North, ran out of legs. I reckon this week probably would have been largely a bit of recovery and recoup. They probably would have looked at, hang on, they're out of petrol tickets. Let's give them that time to just recharge a little bit. And so they probably came to Sydney a little bit more fresh, or came to a matchup with Sydney, a little bit more fresh. But
they've had a really frustrating handful of close losses to them. The one with the interchange violation a few years ago really sticks out.
Yep.
They've lost 11 straight against them now. And maybe more impressive than that, at home, they've lost 14 straight, 11 at Marvel and 3 in Tasmania.
Yeah, okay.
Which, relevant, because I've got a couple of documents looking at all this stuff. Final Siren's been a great resource. That was our first home and away win over Collingwood, where we were the home team, since 2011.
Yeah, I saw someone drop something in there before. That surely not.
We had won.
I feel like we've still won most of our matchups, haven't we?
But about 2/3 of the time, they've been the home team.
Right.
And
amongst that 1/3, we've clearly lost a few of them.
Yeah, we didn't have one since 2023 where we were the home team. We had won a couple of finals, including the all-time great qualifying final, where we were technically the home team. But to actually win a home game against them, it had been a while, which I guess this is now fitting. We have won our most recent home matchup with everyone except Brisbane, if you don't count, depending on how you count various finals, and GWS, which fitting.
We don't talk about GWS losses. It's getting ridiculous. I'll do you a favor here, since you haven't seen much today. I've brought up the VFL show reel on Gryan Miers, so I'll quickly I'll just change our layout, and that way I can screen share it, and you can catch yourself up a little bit on some of Gryan's exploits today.
I saw the stats. I did see what he had.
I'll mute it. I'll mute it so you can talk over the top.
What he had said kind of checks out with what we had kind of deduced, like the idea of, if you can play through it, why rush into surgery?
Yeah.
And have the expectation Jed Buse, wonder if he could get in this coming week, maybe with a short week.
He didn't play the best of games. It wasn't a bad performance on his part, but there's some of that Gryan kicking on show. Look, he was executing. There's got to be shots on goal as well. But in the case of sorry, go on.
Of all of the skill sets to go and drop down and play a game at VFL level, that's got to be so unfair to have a guy who can place the ball on a forward's head like that at such crazy angles. Yeah,
I missed this part of the game. I didn't realize the weather got so miserable at one point. Every time I saw it, it was, I won't say broad daylight, but the conditions were a lot better than what they are now. That would have been maybe a bit of a worry for Gryan to have to try and play in those sloppy conditions. But yeah, on the Jed Buse part, on the Jed Buse part of it, there was just a few occasions where he was. See, look at that! Look at the daylight there on that one. The conditions suddenly flipped on its head. That's the same game, just to be clear. But there was a few times where he had Bobby Hill for a matchup, as Bobby Hill continues to work his way back into it, and gave Bobby a bit too much space on a few occasions, which was disappointing. This is the one I saw, and he just laced out. I think it was Capron, if I remember.
Oh, that's perfect. And good point from Big Fella. that Buse matches up well with Charlie Cameron, who's been great this year. He looks all the way back. I would love to see, I don't know if it would be Buse for Kolajashny or where you'd fit him in, but I think there's definitely a case for Buse to get in this coming week, especially we're going on a 5-day break, interstate trip. I assume with Atkins, if he's not good to go, Stevens is such a like-for-like replacement. And the only thing that I think holds Stevens back right now is that he's a little redundant with some of the other slower, more physical midfielders.
And I think he's got a higher ceiling when it comes to, I think, that level of physicality than some of those guys. He's just got the bigger frame. But I do agree. And they're established, and they're really, for the most part, giving the match committee group no reason to drop them unless there's an injury, of course. So
what round was that the VFL?
That was round 7.
No, what ground were they playing on?
They were at Victoria Park.
Does Collingwood play all their VFL games there, or?
I believe so.
They've got their training facility right down the street from all the tennis stuff in Amy Park.
Yeah, they're basically spitting distance away from the MCG.
I went over to their training last year, was hoping to find Mason Cox, but he was training later in the day with the twos that day, so didn't work out.
Yeah, right.
It was still cool to see, like clearly they get, the biggest crowd in terms of like people out there wanting to meet players before and after training. It was a neat experience. But because I didn't really recognize that one. Looks like it's in a cool area. Next time they're going to have to explore around this. Looks really nice, actually.
I mean, Victoria Park used to get used in the big leagues many years ago. But it's been a while now. I can't even think. It was someone in the chat. When did Victoria Park cease to get used as an AFL venue?
Is the only I went to Arden Street for training, and I went to Whitten Oval for a VFL game.
Yep.
And I didn't really get to see a lot of the other facilities, so that would be something fun.
Big fella saying the 90s. I'm poking around to try and work out.
Yeah, let's see. I'm looking at Wikipedia.
Last VFL match of the year was played in 2000. No, that's VFL.
99 was the last actual AFL match there.
Between Collingwood and Brisbane. Collingwood lost the final game at Victoria Park to Brisbane by 42 points and finished with the wooden spoon just in time to then no longer use that ground.
But we still have ways we can be better.
Absolutely. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on that behind the play work, the way we set up. Given that we are such an aggressive team, we do like to surge the ball forward. The way we set up behind the play, I still think needs some work to protect ourselves a little bit more. I don't think they've worked out what that balancing act needs to look like. And I think this has been a thing now for, 2 years.
Yeah, and it's a total pivot. 5 days from now, we're going to be playing a team that's way, way more active of a counterattack, way more dynamic, way faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really tough pivot to go from, just style-wise, not just, facing Brisbane off of anyone is going to be tough, but especially off of just such a change in the type of game you have to play.
Yeah. I might, while we're chatting, I'm going to loop Ben into it as well because he's floating away in the pool in Bali, but he's messaging me saying that he's going to need to charge his battery soon. So
get him on.
The three of us can chat. That's fine. We'll bring Ben in from the pool. There he is.
Struggling with.
Oh, here I am.
I'm struggling with where to go on 3-2-1 tonight. Maybe give a vote to Bo McCreary for how much he helped us.
Yeah, you can get the 3. I hope everyone likes my little graphic in the top left corner there for Ben.
That
by the way,
excellent.
Can you see that on your phone there, Ben?
Yeah, I'm pretty dark because I haven't got any lighting on my face, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think we want too much light. It might start to.
I'm going to go let him out.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Let the cat.
You want out?
Flash says booze and water don't mix. Carlton saying, is he a shadow? Ben's in Bali though. So
I should put the light on my face, but then it'll drain the battery even more.
Yeah, no, that's all right. We'll protect yourself and also protect all the viewers. They don't want to have to see your face.
That's right.
Where do you go for votes tonight?
Yeah, I've got no idea at the moment.
I think it's got to be a combo of Baz, O'Sheen, and Dempsey. Again, Dempsey, because when he turned it on,
Nope.
that went with the whole team. But there's a case for Holmes. There's a case for DeConing. There's a case for Close. This is a good problem. It's pretty safe to say Polished Turd has to be DeGoey tonight.
Polished Turd, yeah. I had no real concerns with SDK tonight.
Polished Turd on their end, I think, has to be. I think DeGoey. Although I did like the way Bowler played for them, but DeGoey always gives us trouble. You just never expect a game against them to get out of hand. That was nice.
Yeah.
You expect tight down the wire games. I think just the styles we play.
Jackie's in the chat saying 3 to O'Sheen, 2 to Bailey, and 1 to Ollie Henry. Ben, what was some of your takeaways from the game tonight?
I know Jezza didn't get any. I don't think Jezza got a goal tonight, did he? He might have got one.
Yeah, one.
You got the one.
The one that started in our own goal square with all the handballs. That was his.
Yes, that was that one.
Jezza looked great on the TV. I watched it at a sports bar in Seminyak with a cinema-style screen, which was basically like I was at Village Cinema. It was great. And I was just like pointing out, kick it. You know, when you're sort of saying, when you can sort of see the play and you're telling the players through the TV who to kick it to. I was literally pointing either that way or that way. It was crazy. I've never watched TV on a bigger screen. This
is Ben with his 10 bintangs under his belt now. Just
10 bintangs, maybe not 10. I've had a couple of Madura Illusions and a what's the one with the coffee in it? Oh God, I don't know.
Espresso martini.
Anyway. It's a basic cocktail, really. Espresso. There you go.
Espresso martini, no.
Espresso martini, yes. I don't mind an espresso martini with a pizza that is the size of a piece of paper, which is fine, which is good. Good pizza, but very thin. And anyway, you didn't want to hear about my food experiences and drinking experiences.
Oh, no, I do.
I'm certainly entertained. And of course, Ben always, Ethan has his Fosters, and that always
a couple others. I got
kicks off some conversation.
Got a Pilsner from Nepal that I found on the shelves.
Oh, yep. All right. Very nice.
Then I got a local one here called a California Hello Blueberry Vanilla.
Very nice.
Spartacus just saying, Ben, I've had more bintangs than Baz had touches.
And I haven't bought myself a wife beater bintang. I've decided not to do that.
That's a good decision.
Or I haven't bought myself a long neck stubby holder or a penis shaped bottle opener. I haven't done that yet.
I've never tried bintang. I got to find it on a shelf here somewhere or at some Indonesian restaurant or something. We've got them.
Yeah, I'm sure they're in the supermarkets and they got to be everywhere. They're one of the,
to be, surely.
It's like saying, can we buy a Heineken? Jesus Christ, who does the Heinekens? Is that Finland or Sweden or
Netherlands?
Yeah,
the Netherlands. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Look at the accent. We've also got Magnus Sherlock here saying that Dacos should start tagging Mullen, which is probably my comment of the night so far.
At one point, Mullen got off the chain at one point, and I'm like, Dacos, it's on you. Every chance I got, I pointed at the screen and said, Dacos, that's on you, mate. That's on you. Mullen.
Drunk Ben.
5 clearances. Wow. You know, like I've said, if O'Sheen's in that 14 to 18 disposal, 3 to 4 clearance range, great. He got to 21 and 5 while making Nick Dacos, just a decent player rather than a game changer.
Well, Shadoo's just dropped some a summary of the Nick Dacos stats. Wait, no.
The 41% kick efficiency.
This is the cumulative, actually. Sorry, between Bont, Butters, Sheasel, and Nick Dacos. So across those 4 matchups, those 4 collectively have had 93 disposals. Only 63 of them were effective. They've had 9 marks, 11 clearances, 11 tackles, 14 score involvements, and kicked 1 goal, 1 between them.
And Butters was the one.
And Butters was the big one, the one that actually got off a little bit. So
Butters played damn well, and I think at this point we got to give him a ton of credit.
Yeah. Yeah, you escaped the best player in the game in Oisin Mullen.
I wish we had a second crack at them this year.
And that's because we know we're getting Butters, and we didn't want to make him feel too shit. So we got to help Butters a little bit when he.
Well, we had to lower our colours through the midfield to make it clear to him that we really needed his services.
Yeah.
Sean Manna graded out really nicely tonight. I think that's multiple good games in a row from him too.
Hungry Sean Manna taking shots from the boundary. He nailed it.
Yeah, with
might want to send that one next time.
With the ACCA celebration along the line, which
was good.
It
wasn't an ACCA. Do you know what it was? Everyone's getting it wrong.
It's a soccer
Everyone's
thing.
getting that wrong. It's the ACCA celebration, but it was about Gryan Miers. It was the Gryan Miers thing.
I mean, maybe he was referencing Gryan doing it, but of course, let's go back. Like ACCA did this 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I feel like he looked up in the crowd. He actually looked in the crowd to where Gryan was sitting. If you look at his eyes, it's looking into the crowd as he's doing it. I'm sure it was about Gryan. I'm sure of it. I could be wrong, but I'm sure of it.
Probably wrong.
Was disappointed that Ollie didn't break out the caddier celebration. Although I will say maybe for the best not to give him any fuel because we are playing him again.
Braden Maynard gave him a few clips throughout the night. Just a few little jabs and forearms, and he was one of their better players
tonight.
He's a good ball. He snuck up the ground a couple times. He's a bit more offensively minded these days, which is, I think, important. I actually give him a lot of credit. Like, I know everyone can't stand him on the oval, but honestly, good player, and seems like off the oval, it's always like this. The guys that are turds on the oval are like the nicest guys off of it. That's how it always goes. Typically.
Braden Maynard finished with 25 disposals in the end.
20? Okay. Yeah, but that was rubbish.
He was Collingwood's second best by rating.
Yeah, I felt like he got a lot of cruising by handballs and then laced people out. They weren't necessarily big raking kicks because he only covered 418 meters gained. But no, I think he did some pretty good things. But at the same time, he was taking pot shots at Ollie Henry whenever he got a chance, especially through that third quarter. I think it was when Ollie started to really take off.
And Ollie didn't let it get under his skin.
No, he got an opportunity not long later and kicked the goal, so it was good.
There was like one moment tonight where Ollie didn't go after a ball that
he probably could have and should have.
Bugged me a little bit. Overall, terrific work. Again, the effort's been so good from him. I did not realize. I knew Shannon Neal had a decent game and he started really hot. He actually had our second most score involvements at 13.
Yeah, he was a pretty important cog in the chain. And there was a couple of, he took a few leaves from the Jeremy Cameron book. He was strolling down to the defensive half on a few occasions there too. There's one chain in particular where he had a few handballs in the chain, which was really impressive.
His ability at ground level just stands out to me over almost anyone else of his size.
Yeah.
He showed a bit of leadership too tonight. There was a moment where he's like, I could pass it off here, but no, mate, we just got to milk the clock a little bit. And he just told everyone to get the fuck away. Just go away. I'm going to milk 30 seconds here. And even though the Cats were like 36 points up or something like that, it was at that point, it was like,
just waved him off.
Let's just take it easy. At this point, we're playing the clock more than anything else. So let's just do the right thing. So I'm really liking the maturity. And Paul, do you know who I'm loving? And I said it last week. Sam De Koning, mate. He is at 100% capacity at the moment. He is playing like a 30-year-old veteran at the moment. I'm absolutely loving it.
This does sound like a comment you'd make, Ben, because everyone else has been saying it for a few weeks, and then you jumped on the bandwagon after that.
No. He's been playing. He's injured for a little bit.
Fantasy points and disposals do not tell how valuable Sam was tonight. The amount of contests he got in on all parts of the ground.
I've dropped a single fucking F-bomb all night, by the way. I haven't dropped one.
Not one single fucking bomb.
I'd put De Koning in our coaches' votes, honestly. I think he was that good.
Yeah, I think he was fantastic. And you look at some of the numbers, and it doesn't mirror, I think, the impact he had. You look and you go, 2 marks, 10 handballs. Like
it was the combo
6 kicks.
of
It doesn't stick out, but the way he intervened in a range of contests, the way he bodied up, whether he was playing as his natural key defender role, or even the few instances where he went into the ruck, he had, I think, 7 hitouts or thereabouts in the end as well. He moved and worked his way around the ground and asserted his, I guess, physicality on the contest regularly. I was really impressed.
Whether it was him anywhere on the ground or Neil or Dangerfield, our ability to get those, get the extra man into a pack and get the ball to the ground, which you have to do against these guys. That really stood out.
Horatio is just seeking the clarification. Yeah, just 2 marks. That's all that's been recorded against Sam DeConey's name.
And I
Which
think
is a surprise. It feels like he did more than that.
Defensive contests.
Yeah. Yeah, he was breaking contests as opposed to pulling him down himself.
Yeah, and he was matched up less with you imagine if Blitzovs is healthy, and I thought we were really going to miss him tonight. He would be on Darcy Cameron mainly, and then DeConing would get to match up more with, I guess, Bowler, who ended up being one of their more positive contributors. Now, we are really going to miss Blitzovs this coming week.
Do we have an ETA yet? Well, I can't remember what the latest medical report said.
There's something in the...
I'm bouncing over to have a look. It's probably just got TBA or indefinite or some other airy-fairy piece of bullshit that doesn't actually help clarify anything.
Toby bloody Conway.
You're going to miss him against... you wish you could have him, and this is relevant. You wish
1
you
to
could
3
have
weeks.
Him do
1 to 3 weeks, he's still listed.
You wish you could have him do what Frampton did to Harris Andrews in the grand final. Like, you don't have to even touch the ball. You just have to, you don't need to get a disposal. You just have to take
stop him.
Andrews out of the equation.
Oh, that's probably better.
There we go. Ben's got some light.
Mrs. Hoops to the rescue.
Now we'll start to see the eyes rolling back in his head when he has his next bintang.
I should put the bintang. No, I won't order. No, I'll be cooking if you put that one on. Sorry, everyone. I feel like I'm a bloody...
I think I've settled on my 3-2-1.
Go for it, mate.
1, Ollie Dempsey, because he totally turned it on in that third quarter. 2, O'Sheen Mullen. 3, Bailey Smith. You could give O'Sheen and Bailey each 2.5. Up until the last couple minutes, Bailey Smith was humming along at nearly 80% disposal efficiency. And if he's just at 70, you're extremely happy. His kicking tonight, his decision-making and the actual execution on those kicks was as good as I've seen out of him.
Yeah, there was only one like really egregious one that I remember. And he straight away his hand was up and he was apologizing. There was a chain of a few errors from multiple players and he just happened to, I think he kicked it straight to McStay, if I recall, which resulted in the goal. But yeah.
I also didn't get why
that was the only one. Whatever.
We also had him taking a kick in that. No, it was to DeGoey.
Yeah, immediately after, yeah.
He turned it over to DeGoey and then Bowler missed. That was the one. That was the only one.
6 turnovers, 3 clangers from Bailey Smith, but kicking efficiency 66.7%.
I thought it was higher, but again,
that's just his kicking efficiency, of course. His disposal efficiency overall was, what did you say, about 70? 75.
Yeah. But overall, one of the cleaner games he's played, and if he
I thought so too.
Replicate that, even if it's 25 to 30 touches instead of 40, it has such a huge effect on our delivery up front. I mean, I think that has to be the most Collingwood's given up this year. It's got to be the most they've given up in a while.
Yeah, possibly.
Between the style they play and...
Yeah, they've been kind of getting themselves in some like lower scoring contests, or at least sub 100. I think they made a big deal about the fact that they hit 100 for the first time in a while. Was that last week or the week before?
They hit 100 against Essendon, and that was the only time this year. Okay, Brisbane scored 119 on them. And let's see. But yeah, we got to 122. The last time anyone had gotten to 122 against them, shit, it's been a while.
In terms of their offensive, like they've hit 100 once this year. That was Anzac Day where they smacked the Bombers around.
Yeah,
and otherwise it's been a while since they've done that too. So.
They never conceded more than 110 last year. So the 122 we put up tonight is the most they've allowed in a game
in a long while.
Let's see. North 118. Hawthorne, round 19, 2024, put up.
Okay. So we're going back a fair way now.
Yeah. So that's closing in on 2 full years. That's more points than they gave up in a game all of last year. And it's their largest loss at the MCG under McRae against anyone except Hawthorne, who, again, I think we exploited the same sort of things they did.
Awesome. Well, I better start wheeling. I can see Andreas in the background there.
Yes, please get other people on. I'm sure you're all sick.
Ben's still floating around in the pool, so we'll look to keep rolling people through. But Ethan, your insight, as always, has been fantastic. It's always been good having you on board. You gave out the votes a moment ago. Of course, everyone should make sure, and I've got to make sure I do a better job of getting you to plug your own stuff whenever we get the opportunity. So where should people go to check out all the stuff that you're up to?
Americans Watching the Footy. Our social media handle is typically just Americans Footy. We're on pretty much everything other than like TikTok. I don't do TikTok. I do everything else.
We're all too old for that.
Yeah, can't do it.
Well, mate, it's been awesome to have you on board. Look forward to doing it all again.
Big win.
Actually, it won't be me next week. Ben will be taking the reins next week. So,
but yeah, huge win, especially again with just the gauntlet that's ahead. And nice to have a comfortable win in a round that had a lot of close games so far. I've had fun watching some of the others. I'm going to go back and finally watch that Port Bulldogs game that I hadn't gotten to yet.
Yeah, I only kind of tuned in pretty late there, but it was a good ending.
All right.
Thank you as always, mate. Look forward to chatting again soon.
Thursday.
Oh, Horatius dropped a super chat in to get the link to join, so I'll sort that out in 1 second. But thanks a lot, Ethan. Chat soon.
Same link as it always is. Check your browser history.
There'll be that too.
All right. See you guys. Go Cats. Big win.
See you, mate. All right. Next up, I think this might be a debut. Unless Andreas has been, I'm seeing him nodding in the background, so I'll set up the layout for us and bring Andreas in. How's things, mate? Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Talk to me about tonight.
Look, it's probably
bring a different perspective to it, of course.
Probably the most mature performance of a football club, apart from Brisbane, that we've played against, as in like our opposition. Yeah, it was a little bit humbling at the same time. Just because we had opportunities in the first half where we were still within striking distance, but we just had to hit the scoreboard when we needed to, just to put some pressure back on you guys. But then, I mean, like the start of I think it was the second, third, and fourth quarter. I mean, you're getting goals within 15 seconds of the first bounce or first throw up or whatever. I think it's setting the tone. It's setting the tone pretty early on there, and then we're just playing catch up the whole time. So very disappointing, because the thing is with us, this is the first week of the whole season where we've actually had like a big selection squeeze in our side, right, where we've got some decent players in the twos that are pushing for spots, like Ed Allen, Harvey Harrison, Bobby Hill still not far from coming back in. We dropped Will Hayes, who's played 2 or 3 weeks of really good footy.
I was taking a look at, and obviously the Cats got the job done against you in the VFL as well. But looking at some of those Pies numbers, and I watched a bit of the game. I was mostly keeping my eye out for the likes of Gryan and some of the Cats boys. Yeah. But I was kind of keeping an eye and was noticing the same sorts of names popping up. And obviously you cited Bobby Hill as an example of one. And I thought, oh, Jed, you're probably not defending him as well as he could. Bobby Hill was doing some impressive things at different stages. It does look like, yeah, to your point, that there's some players there in the seconds who could absolutely make an argument to find their way into the seniors and look, maybe a bit of a coin flip in some of those cases. But in terms of tonight, I guess where do you see it kind of going wrong for your guys, or right for
It's
my
been a
line?
bit of a pattern. It's been a bit of a pattern, like for a few games this season, because like it's like conversion obviously in front of goal is massive for us, and then it's our delivery the whole season, and I've harped on about it, and I sound like a broken record in my previews and my reviews and stuff, but our delivery from the forward line into from the midfield into our forward line is just completely off as what it has been over the past, couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Lipinski's been able to get the ball and crisp as well, and like hold their kicks well and put it into specific spots in the forward line. Players in the lead, we did it really well last year. We've shown little bits and pieces of it this year, but not really as much, and it just gets turned over. We're not kicking it to advantage enough, and I think that's the main thing. And also we're getting smashed in small parts of the game, which is affecting the rest of the game. So like against Fremantle, it was the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. They kicked 3 goals, bang, hit the front. And then it's a 50-50 contest for the rest of the game, and we weren't able to do it. Against Carlton, it was pretty much the start of every quarter. They were pushing up against us pretty hard, and then we were just able to obviously get the chocolates there. Adelaide, the same thing too in the third quarter. Their tall stood up against us. So there's a bit of a pattern there. It's just specific moments in quarters. And, you guys set the tone pretty much the whole game. It wasn't so much the story tonight, but it sort of was when you guys are getting goals within the first 15 seconds of the quarter. And it's like, well, if we had got that goal or we get that center clearance, and the game's almost like, I'm not saying we're going to win. We weren't going to win tonight, but the momentum's a massive thing, and it changes,
especially in the modern game.
Yeah, it changes like just aspects of the game. If someone says, "Oh, against Hawthorn, Hawthorn should have won. They beat you in every single stat." Well, they didn't, and we were pushing them out in the car park to have shots on goal because our defense played really well. So there's different aspects of the games where if they kick that goal, then the ball goes in the middle. It's a different ball game altogether. But anyway, no excuses tonight. Just in general, we were well off the mark, and the problem is when we play against you guys, it's usually a really competitive game. Like either way, either side,
Absolutely.
It's a hard
regardless
game.
of who wins or loses. Yeah,
and even if it does blow out to like a 3-4 goal win, it's usually the hardest 3 or 4 goal win that you get all season against these two sides. But today it felt like the middle part of 2024 when we had our premiership hangover and nothing was just connecting. It's sort of got that sort of feel about it, which is a bit disappointing. But I mean,
no, I hear what you're saying when you're talking about kind of connectedness, right? And you're obviously citing a few players with examples. You're talking about Lipinski, etc., who their roles to kind of send it, kick it to position, lure, draw the forwards to it. And when your mids, your wingmen are kind of executing like that bodes well for any team. Yeah. But you're right; it just doesn't seem like those kicks weren't quite going to position. Forwards weren't always kind of reading the intentions of the person delivering the ball as well. And in some cases, it felt like Geelong were kind of reading the Collingwood players a bit better than some of the forwards.
It felt like you guys are playing our system better than we play it. If it just felt like you guys were like you knew we were going to be, and we couldn't do anything to counterattack when you guys would make an unforced error or something like that. We weren't capitalising on the scoreboard. We would make an error, and there'll be 3 or 4 Geelong players just swooping on us. And then I also felt as if, I'm not the biggest Darcy Moore fan, but he's nowhere near our worst player. And, I'm not going to hang on him for what happened last week. But when he went down, our backline completely was split open. And it's never been split open the whole season. We're only averaging, I think it's like 66 or 76 points against us per game. Whatever it was, it won't be.
Prior to tonight, but that sounds about right. Just when I was quickly skimming through the numbers from the season so far, that would pretty much check out.
Yeah, I mean, like against Hawthorn, we're holding up to be the 3rd best defense in the competition, but I think it's the problem is like we've had Howe, and out. We've had Darcy Moore in and out. We haven't had a stable backline. They're still doing okay, but tonight was the anomaly. Tonight it felt like we played against Brisbane at the Gabba. Like, if you really want to know the truth, that's exactly how it felt like.
We've got to deal with Brisbane at the Gabba next week. So
but look, all in all, congratulations. And that was a real hard fought win. It was humbling from our point of view, but we've got some serious selection headaches, good selection headaches in the sense of we've got a really deep list now where we can, we're still aiming to make finals. We won't win the flag, but we're still aiming to make finals and have a decent sort of participation in that side of things. But we've got to get these players, these young kids through. And I think we're very similar to Geelong in that aspect. Like, we'll top up, develop the kids, get the kids to a point. I think both clubs have sort of got the same philosophy going on. So I think we're just sort of mimicking like what you guys are doing. So
yeah, both clubs are trying to, I guess, remain there or thereabouts at all times, and then it's all about balance at that point. Getting that balance of experience, bringing in the right external recruits as well to kind of keep you in the window, whilst bringing the younger blokes up at the same time. And where I guess look, I'm probably painting with too broad a brush when we focus on just one night in isolation, but where we can see, I guess he's got a few more years under his belt at this point, but where we see a Shannon Neal coming through, and we see and other similar kind of younger blokes. Mitch Edwards obviously didn't play tonight, but some of those younger guys get their opportunities and continue to build into the game and kind of thrive in the system. Tonight, it didn't quite work out for some of those equivalent sort of young blokes for the Pies. That said, shout out to Jack Buller, who I thought was pretty impressive throughout. Like, he's well.
He's keeping Charlie West out of the team. He's keeping Charlie West out, and West has only played one game, but he's killing it in the twos. So, I mean, that's a really good thing, but also we've still got to try and get these kids in. But I think the forward line opened up a fair bit with Tim Membry going down with a hammy on Anzac Day. It sort of allowed, a bit of a trial and error there. But before I go, I've always wanted to say this to a Geelong supporter for everybody to hear it. How funny is it when you this is like compliments. It compliments both sides, but how funny is it? Because you guys obviously in the past have had an older list, not so much now, but obviously
too old, too slow, and all that.
Too old, too slow, sort of thing. Yeah. How funny is it though when you win? Oh, it's just too much experience. The big game players, this, that. But then when you lose, you're too old, you're too slow. You need to turn it over. There's never a balance. And us Collingwood supporters, not so much with the Geelong guys, but us Collingwood supporters, with the Essendon supporters, the Carlton supporters, the Richmond supporters, we're copying it so much. Every time we lose, we're too old, too slow. And then we go out and then we pump the others by so much.
If you win, then suddenly it's the experience that comes to the fore.
It's the experience. We can't stop it. This is that. I mean, it's just, anyway, I think where Geelong were a couple of years ago. So in that sense, but look, good game tonight. You guys have got a big game next week against Brizzy. It's flip of the coin because they're not,
short break, which is not ideal.
Yeah, they're not playing all that good at the moment. Like, they're just not up to their sort of standard. Carlton exposed them a little bit in that third quarter last night too.
Fags didn't look happy at all.
Yeah, there was a patch there, and I think that you guys bring what you brought tonight to Brisbane. I really do think that you guys will get the chocolates there, but it's an open season. Open season in regards to top six. Anybody in the top six, I think, can win it this year. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Spuddicus has just popped in and said, "Look, to be fair, Pendles is nearly 80, so
he's older than me. Like, I'm 37, and I stopped playing 2 years ago. I stopped playing 2 years ago because my knees and I had shin splints and stuff, and I was playing like reserves footy. I don't know how this guy's doing it.
Yeah, that bloke could just keep Dustin Fletchering his way through and play this thing for another 5 years.
Yeah, as long as they just give him a rest next week, because I don't want him to, as Collingwood supporters and for himself too, you wouldn't want to break the record in Sydney. You'd rather do it, obviously,
in front of a home crowd.
Supporters. And it's against West Coast. Hopefully we don't play like we did tonight, and then we get the chocolates there, and then I think whatever else happens after that in the season.
Yeah, this is a worry as a neutral. There's a bit of a worry that, does the club get too swept up in milestone fever and kind of take their eye off the ball, and then suddenly get upset by a young plucky team who goes, well, we can come out here and ruin the party a little bit. So there's a risk for them, let alone some injuries and those sort of things that might pop up. Obviously 2 weeks, 2 weeks gives Darcy Moore a little bit of time, but depending on, I don't know what day of the week you play, given it's West Coast, I can't imagine it's going to be a Thursday. So we have enough time to get through the concussion.
It's a Saturday twilight game. So it's 4:15 start at the G in 2 weeks on a Saturday, but you'd think we'd have close to a full side apart from Perryman, who was a big out for us tonight. He was a massive loss for us, because he can play multiple roles, but not a 54-point role, but definitely a role that would stop some of the cheap sort of goals where we conceded where we shouldn't have, like, the soccer off the grounds,
the backers,
you're just the ones over the top because they're pushing up too high. It's just the structure side of things. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, that's going to be interesting the next 2 weeks. But hopefully we could just beat West Coast at the G, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll see what happens. So, and I guess good luck with the upcoming games. I don't think it was, I think Ethan and I were saying, I think it's July 27th. It's, we've got a couple months before we go head to head again, the two clubs, but look forward to doing it all again nice and soon. And inevitably our two clubs will also be fighting over some sort of external recruit nice and soon. So look forward to seeing how that one works out as well.
I think we're both going to be missing out on him. I think he's going to the Dogs.
Yeah, I think the Dogs should be the favourites, but
never
we'll try and
it's
will
not
it
too
over
far
the
from
line
Geelong to Darley. I mean, you can go the back way.
No, back is nice and easy.
Yeah, so doesn't matter. But hey, they've built the Westgate Tunnel, so he get a quicker ride to Collingwood straight in Gryan if he really wants.
There's the pitch.
There it is.
You can Jacinta's doing the work for the club.
100%. That's it.
Well, mate, before you disappear, for anyone who's looking for, we're mostly all Geelong supporters in the chat and the community tonight. But if people want to check out some Pies related stuff, where should people go?
Just Black and White United. The channel's called Black and White United. We've just ticked over 1,400 subscribers, which is pretty cool.
Congrats!
And we're about to top the 1K mark on Instagram. So it's been fun so far. We started the Insta back in 2023, and then we started doing the videos towards the back end of 2024. So, but it's been good. It's been fun. Got a good community, good following. Got lots of neutral supporters. We've got shows where we also have supporters from other clubs come on, and we have a bit of a banter between us there. So it is predominantly Collingwood, but it's a bit of everything, which is really good. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. People should absolutely check it out, and don't hesitate to get in touch with myself or Ben or the chaps, and we're happy to jump on at different points if you ever feel like you want to bring some blue and white hooped legends on board. And Ben.
I'll keep it in mind. Don't worry. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thanks for jumping in. Obviously, disappointing one. So,
it's all good. Congratulations. Good job.
See you, mate. All right. Who have we got next? Horatio, I see you're ready to go. Where's the layout? How's things, mate?
Yeah, good. Nice win.
It was a nice win. Now the chat's probably been going. Where's the Geelong talk for a while? So let's kind of cycle it back to the Cats a little bit. What were some of the big takeaways from this one? And it's always good, by the way, everyone in the chat. It's always good to have a bit of a balance. It's nice to get the perspective of the opposition sometimes to go, what do they see about our team that maybe we didn't, because we're too locked in on, is Brad Close back in form, or look at Bailey Smith in his disposal efficiency, or whatever the things are that we tend to hit on. So
yeah, I think he saw it pretty clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
the curtain talk's already started.
I mean, I thought it was, I mean, that was always going to be the, it's been the weak spot for them tonight, is just being able to kick a score. And, obviously they were battling with that tonight. And then, they weren't able to hold it together defensively, particularly after Moore went down. So, we kind of just split them open after that.
Yeah, I think that was just that depth was lacking. They kind of were 1-for-1 when it came to, or 1-to-1 matchups there with the talls or mid-sized players. And as soon as Moore went down, Jezza, you could see he was already, I think, stretching him a little bit because of the way Jezza gets up the ground and Darcy Moore's kind of unwillingness to follow. But as soon as he didn't even have to contend with Darcy Moore coming back the other way, that really opened things up a little bit. And then the likes of Danger really started to step, I wouldn't even say step up. I felt like Danger played a good 4-quarter performance. It was just in the first half, I'd say the ball didn't necessarily bounce his way as much. Second half, it really started to, and he started to assert himself a little bit more. Ollie Henry started to really stretch his legs a bit more too.
Yeah, I thought, there was a bit of talk there in the Discord, and they were mentioning that Danger hadn't had a possession. But I was like, no, well, he's been lively without getting a touch.
Yeah, I think he still broke open a few contests and I think really helped steer the ball in certain directions, even if it wasn't to him. Some of those leads, it just draws the attention elsewhere, allowing Shannon Neal or Ollie Henry or someone else to kind of get on the end of it. They're equally as important.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, he's still hitting the packs pretty hard, and I mean, if you're doing that sort of thing, the game will tend to go your way after a period of time, and obviously he got his couple of goals and had a hand in a couple of others, and caused.
I really enjoyed Shawnee Manor getting up and about every time Danger got his hands on it in that second half. I don't know, like it was very Jeremy Cameron with the big fist pumps and those. He was stoked that Danger was getting on the end of him. I'm sure he's kind of sensed the noise and maybe the concerns, and maybe Danger's been expressing things. Maybe he's sensing a bit of doubt or whatever. Have I gone too long or whatever? But Shawnee Manor in particular. Absolutely loved it whenever Danger was getting his hands on it in that second half. It was good to see.
No, it was good because I think that's been a little bit of, it's been a little bit of a concern that I've seen, and we've discussed a little bit on here in previous weeks. Is just, the guys, they didn't look to be maybe enjoying their footy as much as as we've become accustomed to. It looked like we were all kind of we seem to be battling a little bit in that department. But to see the guys sort of up and about a bit in that way, sort of getting around blokes and all that kind of thing was certainly good to see. It's always a good sign.
Yeah, they seem to be finding the fun in it a little bit more at the moment, which is good. And we're starting to still hints of it. I would say there was probably only a 15 to 20 minute block in that second quarter where I think we did a pretty good job of, like, the defenders held up, but I think as a team we weren't amazing in that early, I guess let's say first 3 quarters of the second term, where we just couldn't really get the cohesion going. We couldn't kind of find the ball. The Pies started to get on top a little bit, but they're not great offensively, and our defenders did a pretty damn good job of just fighting them off.
Yeah, well, look, it's easy to forget in footy sometimes, particularly these days, the way the ball moves around, that, like it was the pressure was the pressure was pretty hot there.
Yep.
In that first half, and sometimes the game it's not about even getting the game on your terms. It's just about, sometimes you have to just weather the storm.
Yeah.
If the other side's really applying an immense amount of pressure, sometimes you just have to hang on. You just have to.
Yeah, some of those things aren't, more often than not, that sort of intensity is not sustainable. So you've just got to, as you say, weather the storm, hang in there, and your time will come. Especially in this modern game where it is like so much of it's a momentum game.
Yeah, and look, and the good thing was, we weren't. I mean, I would say it was probably to do with the conditions were a little bit slippery. The pressure was pretty hot. I thought we actually worked pretty hard, even in that second quarter when they were sort of getting a decent run of the play. I still thought that we were working pretty hard to get things going our way. Like I think it was in the second quarter we got that chain of handballs down the wing that we ended up getting a goal out of, and I was like, that's when the game's being played like this, that's how you've got to do it. It's not necessarily pretty,
no,
but but we fought hard. ran hard, and you given that in other pressure situations this year we haven't we would have turned that over at in other games this year where like I say, where the pressure's been high. So to be able to do that at that point of the game, it was like, it's not clean and totally clean and free flowing, but we're getting it forward under pressure, and we got a goal out of it. So, if you that was probably the most pleasing thing about about particularly in that first half was just when they still had a real chance at it and were applying a lot of pressure that we hadn't necessarily stood up in those situations in a lot of games this year when it had been on.
Yep.
So, the fact that we worked really hard defensively and showed a lot of cohesion, which I think had been sort of lacking a little bit.
Been lacking, yeah.
In those sort of pressure situations was really good. And then
I think we just needed in some ways, I feel like we just needed the great expanses of the MCG to just get the game, get our game up and running, where you've got a little bit of room to put it out in front of someone and get them running onto it, or just a bit of room to stretch the legs. I feel like, given how we've been playing, and like you said, the cohesion wasn't really there. The tighter confines of something like GMHBA makes it a little bit easier. Sorry, GMHBA makes it a little bit tougher. Something like the G helps us kind of break those shackles a little bit. I think it was you and I talking last week. It's no surprise that arguably our best game of the season before tonight was the game against the Hawks. And we lost that one, but our best game of the season was probably the one against the Hawks, and it was at the G again.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair comment. I mean, we do play some of our very best footy at the G, and I do think those wide open spaces, just the shape of the ground and all that does help us. And I do think when it's the bigger crowd and all that sort of thing, I think we relish that to a certain extent. So
yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is that when it's funny, what the Collingwood fellow was just talking about before he jumped off. When you lose, you're old, you're slow. This bloke's had it. That bloke's had it. All that kind of thing.
Start drawing lines from left, right, and centre. Yeah.
Yeah. When you win, it's a different matter. It's the complete opposite. And I think that's the thing. You could see that in that look at the game, just within that game there. It's like as it went on, it could have been, a continuation of some of the issues we've had, or, do we stand up? Are we going to stand up and expose their weaknesses? And fortunately for us, it was the latter rather than the former. So, I mean, they've got some, they've got some genuine concerns there, but
I think depth. Is probably their problem at the moment. Like, obviously, as Andreas was saying, they've got some pretty handy options, emerging through the seconds there. And Ed Allen was one that we spoke about, and I saw Ed Allen's name get shouted out in the chat there as well. And obviously, they've got a Norm Smith medalist running around there in Bobby Hill at the moment. Like, they've got some options they can bring in. But I feel like they're probably lacking depth in some of those most important parts of the ground, whether it's the ruck, obviously like Darcy. Oh my God, I'm just going blank on his surname. Who's their bloody ruckman's name? Darcy Cameron. Like he goes all right, but he's kind of balancing his time a little bit with Oscar Steen, who's quite new and quite raw. You've then got obviously some key forwards that did a solid enough performance tonight. I think Jack Buller was fantastic, and he's very inexperienced. Dan McStay did some solid things, but then you saw the vulnerabilities in their defense when Darcy went down. All of a sudden, you're dealing with someone who, look, I don't personally. I don't know. I guess I don't know what the general consensus is, but I don't particularly rate Billy Frampton. And I can't think when I'm trying to project the Collingwood list, I can't really think of, okay, who's the next key defender that steps up while Darcy Moore's out.
Yeah. I mean, look, Frampton's one of those guys who's great as your second or third banana, maybe, but when he's got to be the linchpin of your defense,
it falls apart a bit.
Yeah, he's just not that player that can do that. And that, we saw that tonight. He did mention that young fella West, who, despite the fact that we gave him a hiding in the VFL as well, he kicked 4 goals and played really well. So
give him a go.
So
then.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I sort of feel like surely, they've got to give him a bit of a look to see.
Not that you want to take Buller out, because again, I thought he did pretty well. But given that you might have to shuffle some pieces around to cover for Darcy Moore, and so that maybe unlocks an opportunity. Not obviously, you're not going to put him in the defensive half of the ground, but given that some of these other keys might need to move around, that could unlock an option for him.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to analyse Collingwood too much.
We've done enough of that now.
Yeah, they can go and cry in their beers and deal with their problems however they want. Don't really care what happens to them from here right out. But I thought, obviously as the game went on, and we started to look probably as sharp as we've looked all year. We had a lot of guys that had probably been a little bit down on form. Starting to look like they're
fire
playing.
Up a bit.
I mean, I think Zach Guthrie probably had his best game of the year tonight. He was very good.
Well, especially when we needed him in the first half, because in the second half, I think he trailed out of it a bit, not because he did anything wrong, but just because the necessity wasn't there anymore. The game didn't require him to step up to the plate like he was in the first half. But in that first half, he was really important.
Yeah.
Intervened when he needed to, used his body well, launched the ball forward. I'd be curious to check his score involvements, because I feel like they would have been relatively high.
Yeah, he did a lot. He did a lot of good work. Particularly
not as high as I thought, but he had 6 of them.
Still,
7 intercept possessions, which is. Oh no, sorry, I scrolled poorly. Either way, no, I think he played a pretty good game, especially in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, considering that we've sort of considered him to be a bit out of form so far.
No, he's working his way back into it well.
His form had been sort of, he'd sort of been building. It had been improving, but I think tonight, particularly early, we started to see something more like his best form tonight.
Some of the others we've been citing as well, whether it's obviously Danger, we spoke a little bit about before, but whether it's Danger, Brad Close, even James Warple, came up a lot in the chat. He was one that I really, within the Discord, was trying to pump up during the game. He was doing a pretty great job.
He had an excellent game, and I used it well, I thought.
Yeah.
But,
which has been his biggest weakness. It's been the execution. It's not that his decision making has been poor. It's not that he's unable to win the ball. He does both of those things really well, but he's been unable to hit that target. Tonight he did that really well by hand and foot.
Yeah.
And they were shorter kicks too, which is kind of the harder one to execute.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say though. He was tonight. He wasn't just getting the ball and throwing a dump kick out of a pack.
He was lowering the eyes and hitting someone up.
he was having a bit more of a look, and he was actually his short kicking was really good, and he did actually he was quite good. He was quite good by hand during the course of the evening, and hit the packs hard all night.
Absolutely.
I thought, as far as I know Baz ended up having 40 touches or whatever, but I thought, he sort of got a lot of those as the sting went out of the game.
Yep.
But in the first half, when the whips were cracking, I thought Warple was he's going to get some votes from me tonight. I thought he was a four quarter performer for us this evening.
Yeah, and he has been a bit of a whipping boy for us early on. I think probably just that Geelong Hawthorn rivalry has a little bit to do with it as well. But he was from the outset. He was consistent. He was there and relevant the entire time. And to your point, Baz had 16 disposals in that last quarter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that he didn't play. He wasn't playing well in the first half. Or even that he was stat padding. Just say that I think that the numbers probably don't. If you just looked at it, he had 40 touches, you'd think, well, that's 3 Brownlow votes right there and all that.
But not necessarily, no.
But I mean, look, he was. It's not like he wasn't in consideration for. I'm sure a lot of people would give him votes tonight for sure. But
40 often, 40, most people go, oh yeah, there's your obvious 3, and I don't think that's the case here. Again, not for any accusations of stat padding and those sort of things, but it's just I think if anything, it says a lot about everyone else who was around him tonight.
Right. I mean, look, I think that the thing is, just so that I don't sound like I'm accusing him of being a seagull, it wasn't like he was just floating around looking for cheapies.
No.
He was just doing what he does, running hard, looking to get those handballs and stuff like that. And let's say as the sting went out of the game, there was more of those to be had, and he was rewarded.
His opportunity.
That's what he does. He'll keep running all day, and as I say, once we're really going, then he's going to get a lot of the football just purely because of his work rate. So yeah. But as I say, I thought, I thought that as far as the midfield goes, and everybody sort of had their, had a pretty good performance in there tonight. But I thought Warple was the guy that was the best 4-quarter performer in there.
No, I'd agree. Here's another one though that was also he's around that neck of the woods that. I feel like had a pretty solid game, and I think presents a really intriguing situation. Chad, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this because this is a name we've not discussed so far. With 17 disposals, 8 kicks, 9 handballs, 3 marks, 3 tackles, 3 clearances, and 17 hitouts. What did you think of Reece Stanley tonight?
I thought he was good.
I thought he was too.
He played really well in the twos last week. So I was saying, someone, I can't remember if it was in the Discord or in the chat. So someone was saying, don't bring Reece back. He's finished. I'm like, no, he had a really good game in the twos last week. And, he was, he did some, and that was the thing. He played a fair bit up forward, last week against the Roos in the VFL.
Yeah,
and did some really good work when he was resting up forward, and I thought he did a little bit of that. I thought he did a little bit of that tonight. There was the little soccer on. He got that little tap over.
Yes, the one that then skidded to Ollie, who finished the job.
Yeah, and they were trying to say in the commentary, oh, he was trying to kick the goal, and he just. I'm like, no. Like he was too far out to. He just did the little sort of almost like the little soccer dink over there. I was like, that's. But he was sort of doing a little bit of that sort. He was sort of trying to do a little bit of that stuff in the twos last week.
Yeah,
sneaky little tap outs and stuff like that.
So to a Nomad Hunter's comment then, should Reece Stanley retain his spot? Mitch Edwards was obviously out. He's getting freshened up. This was a Reece Stanley of, the last, say 2022, 2023, where his body was still holding up. He came into it in good form. Does he hold on to his spot, though, when we've got a match up against the Lions next week?
No.
Go back to Mitch.
Bring him back for the Sydney game when he plays Brodie Grundy, because as we know with Reece,
he likes a good matchup.
He plays well when he's playing against top line ruckman, and does nothing when he's playing against mugs. Yeah. So no,
he'd still have not that I think he's as good as some will make him out to be, but he would have Sam Draper for company next week.
Oh, true.
So it's not fresh meat that he's up against, and not to mention there's probably a little bit of extra sting in there if he's dealing with Darcy Ford as well. So
yeah, true.
I think he'd be able to find a bit if he happened to be in. I think he'd be able to find a bit to carry him through. That said, like we've gone from a situation where in the last few years we've gone Reece, and we can't seem to get a replacement. Toby bloody Conway, Mitch Edwards has been injured. Not when's he going to develop and get when are any of these young blokes going to come through? Oh, we better go chase Rowan Marshall, whatever it happens to be. Now suddenly we've got Reece Stanley who steps up when required and plays a really good game, and I'm sure we'll get further opportunities throughout the season, and hopefully he does the same. You got Mitch Edwards who's developing incredibly well. Toby Conway is still Toby Conway, but then you get Joe Pike, who today had 18 disposals, young Pike, he's playing, and 11 clearances. That's
what I say. Young Pike, he's having an absolute purple patch in the twos at the moment.
So we're suddenly going. We don't need to go chasing ruckman. We got what we need right here.
No, and I think what begs the question, like this is always the thing with this managing situation. You leave a bloke out, to give him a rest or whatever, and then, his incumbent comes in and has a really good game, and it's like, well, how do we drop this bloke? And then all of a sudden, what do you do? You say, well, it's a nice problem to have, but then I'm like, that's always the thing with the management. These is like you leave a bloke out to give him a rest, and then he can't get back.
Yeah, especially for the young blokes.
Can get back in,
which is the issue that the likes of George Stevens, Jai Clark, all these guys who are right on the edge, face. Like if they might get an opportunity sometime soon. Who knows? But then how fleeting is that? Even if they perform well, is it just there to fill the gaps while Danger has a rest, or while it's a rough situation for him to be in. I think in the case of Mitch Edwards, I think, maybe he'll get one more week. I don't know. I think despite the fact that it's been clear that he's been beaten up on a bit, I'm sure he's got more than a fair share of bruises and bumps and those sorts of things. He's fought really, really hard game in, game out. Like you wouldn't really know it, I don't think. Outside of the fact that he looked sore, the way he's played his football has been really impressive to me. Maybe they give him one more. Just go, all right, let's just really get yourself right, and then we look at another 8 or 9 week block again, or we keep going from here up until the bye, and then we get another chance to go at it. So, I can see Reece getting one more.
Or alternatively, look, we've given Mitch a taste. He's shown us what he can do. Let him take that confidence and let him just have a run in the VFL for a bit, start to where he can probably impose himself on the game a little bit more, and then just wait until Reece has his inevitable injury, because he always gets one every year, and then bring him back
a hammy or something
You
will
know,
pop up.
no, and I'm not saying that to bag reason anyway. But
The old man calf.
He's gonna get an injury. He's gonna get a niggle at some point in the next few weeks because he always does.
Yeah.
But at least this time we know we're gonna have guys there that are ready to step back in. But yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's with the VFL, some of the guys we got in the VFL.
Gee, we're looking good.
It's like, although you know, I made the comment when we were watching it earlier. It's like bloody Jake's boy, young Costello, had an absolute cracker. I don't know if you saw any of the game. No, he had an absolute blinder.
Yeah, I saw some really good stuff. 26 disposals or thereabouts, if I remember.
He was a game breaker. Yeah, he was an absolute game breaker today. Absolute game breaker. And Callum Sinclair was just in the commentary was just pumping him up at every opportunity. I'm like, this guy's just is trying to sell him so that West Coast pick him up in the mid-season draft. There's no doubt about it. Like they were just pumping up his tires at every opportunity.
He'll take a finder's fee at the end of it.
Oh well, maybe, I don't know, but geez, they couldn't. I think they even mentioned it a couple of times, but yeah, he looks a real player. But our
VFL players have been doing a great job, and Frank's just jumped in at the exact right time there with a comment about Marcus Herbert, who's just been. I think I read during the week, and I meant to do a video about this. So I guess there's still time. I think there's about 6 clubs, including the Cats, that are talking about him as a potential mid-season draft prospect. And at this point, I'm double checking now. He had another 31 disposals today. He just continues to rack them up and demonstrate a hell of a lot of poise at that level, and kind of show that he's a bit above the majority of a VFL at that VFL level. So if his opportunity comes up soon, that'd be great.
Yeah,
hopefully it's with us, but
I would like it to be us, but I've got the feeling that will not be the case. But someone would have to pick him up seriously. I mean, I said like some of the blokes we bought in the last couple of weeks, even that young like Ballantyne is another one. Like, you know, he's sort of been on the fringes a little bit over the last.
He kicked 4 goals today, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Jamison Ballantyne, 4 goals 2 from 14 disposals.
Yeah, he's like Jackie and I were having a look at his scouting report from his draft year a few years back, and you know, that's like the one thing they didn't mention is like this guy's a really good mark for his size. I mean, you know, they had him as sort of a winger type, and we've been playing him at full forward. And he's got a really good pair of hands, and I thought, yeah, he moves very nicely. So I was sort of like, you know, we got half dozen blokes here that might end up, you know, being elsewhere halfway through the year because people are going to pick the eyes out of him in the mid-season draft. No, there's some
good prospects, but even our AFL listed players, and you know, look, I think there's a prevailing opinion now within our own community, at the very least, that Mitch Nevitt, obviously, he's racking up plenty of the ball at the VFL level. His disposal has been not what it perhaps could or should be this season. That maybe he might find himself on the chopping block, but George Stevens is racking up, like he had another 31 today, kicked 2 goals, 1 from the midfield. Ollie Wiltshire had kicked 2 goals. Hunter Holmes did some pretty good things today. It wasn't his biggest day, but he did some good things throughout the game.
Well,
Lennox Hoffman flying in the defensive end. 22 disposals.
Yeah, he's another bloke that Jake's been big on. He looks the good. He looks a real good player.
Obviously, there's a pretty handy bloke there in Jed Buse. They racked up another 20 today. Jesse Mellor's coming along nicely. 2 goals, 2 today. Gryan Miers was back there today. Like, there's so much talent in that VFL team at the moment, plus some of those that are on the injury list. I mean, when we cast the eye then back towards the seniors, we go, okay, you know, Jack Henry's, I mean, it's foot soreness now with his history. I do feel like Geelong are going to be very, very cautious around him with and yeah, Jackie, I've kind of missed the footage of Hunter Holmes taking a beating at one point there, but I did hear he got
he got absolutely cleaned up.
Wonder if he finds himself on any
ball
head hit
tear.
in that.
I'm not sure, but it was an absolute ball terror of a tackle. He got absolutely poleaxed. Did not see it coming. It was a fair tackle too. It was an absolute beauty, but he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, right. But I mean, yeah, there's Jack Henry there in this that's going to be available sooner rather than later. Presumably, Gryan's obviously made his return today, and there's every reason to think that, well, based on his performance today, that there's no reason why he couldn't step up. Mark Blitzarves is only a couple of weeks off. Who knows with Tyson Stengel at the moment? But like, there's plenty of high quality AFL listed players who've been to that level and done it, that are all queuing up to take spots, let alone the youth who's demonstrating all these incredible green shoots. So
yeah, well, I think that's the main thing, is that a lot of those listed guys that we've got in the twos are all showing. They're all showing a bit. Like Pike had a great game. He's been playing really, really well the last few weeks. Hoffman.
Sorry, big fella. Who are you comparing there to Zach Butters? Yeah, sorry, keep going, mate.
Yeah, Hoffman was great today. There was I think there was a passage there in I think it was in the third quarter, where George Stevens basically, in the space of like 5 minutes, but he gave off a hand pass that it just went bang bang goal, and then there was another one where they got it and he just came up and just got it loose in a tackle, spilled out to our bloke, bang bang goal, and then he kicked one himself. I was like, this is he's banging the door down. He's absolutely banging the door down. Couldn't bang it down any harder. But and I think. Well, I'm seeing, like, I think I see a little, he's kicking sort of slowly, particularly he's taking, he took a lot more shorter kicks today, sort of, rather than just throwing it on the boot and going long.
Similar to the Warple conversation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like he definitely was looking for more shorter targets today. I think Jake might have even said he's better. He's better over the shorter distances in these particular situations, and he certainly showed that this afternoon. So, and there was another bloke
in the VFL today. You're talking about, or
it was in the VFL. Also had a pretty good day.
AFL player or VFL player?
Yeah, no, AFL player. No, there's a couple of we brought in a couple of other blokes. Pierce, who's like 22, 23, big strapping type. He had a bloody good
Tom
game.
Pierce,
Like, I like this fella. And the young full forward, what's his name? Green. So
Charlie Green,
Yeah, that guy's got
kicked 3 goals today as well.
Yeah, he's got a pair of hands on him. Looks a very, very strong-bodied type who, might be worth a bit of a look at as well. So, yeah, I mean, we just seem to have, even like, our VFL listed guys, our AFL listed guys are all playing quite well. But then these our unlisted guys, our VFL listed guys, a lot of them are really looking, some of them
they're looking the goods.
Pretty promising as well. So,
watch us get pillaged and suddenly fall off the face of the earth in the second half of the season in the VFL ladder. When we suddenly lose Ballantyne and we suddenly lose Herbert and we suddenly lose, I mean, it's a good problem to have at the end of the day. But Costello, maybe lose Costello, like all these guys.
You never know, though. I mean, sort of, they were, before last year's mid-season draft, they were sort of saying the same thing about maybe Brandon Parfitt getting picked up and Charlie Constable getting picked up. They were playing for Perth and the Waffle and all that, and they didn't take him. So, and then Chook went on and won the bloody Sandover and all that. So, you know, I look, you know, of the guys that I've mentioned, I would be exceedingly surprised if Marcus Herbert doesn't get picked up. Like he just has to be picked up. Like he's dominating. You know, and the other guys mentioned, you know, I think they'd be worth a look for certain clubs, but you know, obviously, I hope we can, particularly Costello as well. I think, you know, I think Amy said we need, or Jackie said we need to hide him in the Lavington thirds for
Too late
for the rest of the year until we could. But yeah, the cat's out of the bag there, I think. But yeah, like just consider it how I was sort of feeling. I mean, even after we had a nice win, and I think Ethan made the fair point in Discord today when we were sort of looking at the end of that North Sydney game. He said, "Oh, I feel a lot better about our form last week, having seen how North's going against the Swans today." And yeah, I was like, yeah, they obviously ran out of juice last week, but they played some you know, they played some bloody good football. I only watched the last quarter after our game, but yeah, but for a little bit of poise, you know, they could have won that game.
They got a lot of talent.
Yeah, like, and they didn't get a big. You know, Nick Larkey did 2/10 of bugger all today, so you know you would expect if they were going to, you know, push the Swans to a couple of goals, that he would have had a fair bit to do with that, and he didn't. So
yeah.
By
the way, here's the 6 clubs that have been doing their work on Marcus Herbert: Richmond, West Coast, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, Collingwood, and then of course Geelong. And he's got some meetings scheduled with a few of those clubs.
Yeah, well, any one of those clubs would benefit from having him.
Yeah,
having him on their list. Look, I think,
just a shame it may potentially be a massive loss for us, but a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, it would be nice to win the VFL and all that, and he would be a big loss for us. But I feel like, you know, we could cover that. But yeah, I just think it's a bit like Milan Murdoch with the Eagles. It's like that guy should have been on an AFL list 3 years ago.
Yeah,
like easy, like, and you know, like I listen to Backchat and all that, and you hear Scoey and all those guys. They've been saying, why isn't this guy on the list? And I watch a bit of waffle on 7+ and all that, and it's like, you know, you're telling me
shoulders ahead.
You're telling me that this guy couldn't get a game for West Coast or Essendon or, you know, or Richmond right now? You got to be kidding me. And then he came in and he was their best player like 3 weeks in a row. You know, now, okay, we're talking about a pretty low bar when it comes to the Eagles. But, you know, I think, you know, that's players like him now are just starting to reinforce, hey, and you know, clubs are looking to, looking to like, and we're probably the best at it in the league, is finding these sorts of guys.
Absolutely.
Like with Manor, and saying, hey, doesn't matter if they're 26, 27, whatever. Bring them in.
Yeah, everyone's looking for their Sean Manor, their Tom Stewart, their James Podsiadly. Which has been good seeing Pods' name pop up a little bit over the course of the week, and there's been some reflections on him, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I put a link up. I put a link up in the Discord during the week.
Oh, did you?
With a snippet of the interview he did with Jordan Lewis, and
cool.
Jake said he was thought it was Rob Sitch when he looked at the thumbnail. It was like, Rob's not rocking the full nude nut just yet. But no, I mean that was the thing. Pods is a prime example. Like he you know, once he got to a certain point with I've got the Giro d'Italia on the background. There has been a monster crash, and there are riders everywhere. That does look good, and some of them have hit the Armco. Well, that's nasty. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'm not
with
super across
Podgy,
that one, but
I used no. There's riders like all over the place here. That is a mess. Dare say a few of them are going to have some bark off. But yeah, like with Pod, like I would watch the VFL, and it's like, how is this guy? How is it that this guy was never good enough to get on a list? So it was no surprise to me when we said, hey, when we got him down to play for us and sort of be our fitness guy. And it's just funny when you go back to the photos of us celebrating in the rooms in 2009, and Podsy's in the circle as the fitness guy, and then 2 years later, he's in the
he's a premiership
circle
player
as a premiership player.
with his arm in a sling, but nonetheless integral in getting us there.
Absolutely. So I think what's happening now, and like I said, I think we're probably the club that's leading the way in this, is just, you know, you don't write these guys off because, or don't think, oh, well, you know, they didn't make it then, and, you know, or whatever. It's like, can this guy add something to our list right now? Let's get him in and see what he can do. And I think the mid-season, that's why the mid-season draft had to come back. Because, I mean, I remember when they sort of you could have it back in the 80s, and that where you could have, you could recruit those guys mid-season, even before the draft. You know, you'd get blokes to come over, and, you know, you'd find someone who was tearing it up in the country leagues, and they would just slot right in and continue on. And, you know, and people forget, like, when I started watching football, and you probably, like, before, like, I remember footy before the draft, and you'd have guys that weren't coming over till they were 20, coming over from West Australia or South Australia until they were 27, 28 years old, you know, and those guys had already had, you know, 200, they had 150, 200 games of league footy in those leagues behind them. And then they'd come over here. Now, I mean,
and they've already got the discipline. They've already got some of that physical, like they don't have to go through that physical development part that any, you know, fresh draftee does. Their bodies are almost cherry ripe and ready to go to just jump straight into it.
Right. So yeah, like that is bad news, man. Some of these, like, oh man, that is a mess. Oh, I just have to look over, and there's a guy with blood coming out the back of his head, and
yeah, right.
Yeah, I just had it on the background, and sort of, you know, it's usually early on in these grand tours, the first couple of stages will be sprint stages, which means they ride for 200 Ks, and the race is decided in the last 3 minutes rather than, you know.
But it might be decided nice and early this time with all the carnage.
Oh, well, there was a monster crash last night with about 100 meters to go, less than a K to go. And I mean, they have rules that, you know, if you crash within a certain period, that it doesn't affect anyone's time and all that, but that doesn't stop them from getting hurt. But that was an even bigger one than the one last night. But yeah, I mean, look, the good thing about days like today is just it's always nice to win and win comfortably. But it's like when you see the development that's going on in the VFL, and then you see how we played in tonight's game, and then, like you say, you think about the guys that are sitting on the sidelines at the moment who we could potentially bring back in. It's like,
it's a good problem to have.
We're pretty well placed, and, you know, as long as we can hit that form, hit that sweet spot, and keep it going, then
I think it just goes back to what we've been discussing a little bit the last few weeks, which is, you know, we've not been necessarily, obviously we've had, you know, cracks at certain players for their form or whatever, but none of it was this player cannot make it at AFL. Like, we're not talking about these are weaknesses that we don't have the ability to plug, which, like, this person's out of touch, this person's this person's that, and then obviously really honing in on that team synergy. But now it feels like that's even starting to, like, we're playing. We still haven't played a full 4-quarter game. Today was, I think, almost outside of Hawthorn. Today was probably the closest that we've gotten to it. Oh, Ben has just linked me to the accident. I just got a little DM from Ben that's showing me the whole thing there. Look at that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, you're right. But like, yeah, I saw one bloke who's fallen and he's kind of put the arm out to kind of brace himself, and then you see the bikes going over the top. It's brutal. So
yeah, when they go down hard.
More carnage at the Giro than the running the bulls, Ben says.
Well, there was this. I was just talking earlier. I was watching I was watching the highlights from last night.
Yep.
Oh yeah. They're carting people off on stretchers now. They've got the gurneys out. Well, that doesn't look good at all. That really does not look good. But yeah, like the way they had the road was really narrow finish, and with the sprint finish, it's chaos.
Of course, there's bikes flying everywhere.
Yeah,
people trying to make moves left, right, and center.
Yeah, that's it. But they had those metal barriers with the legs that stick out.
Oh,
and Guy kind of
caught
moved to miss one of those and clipped the wheel of the guy next to him, and then everybody went down. But a similar thing happened in a race 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the guy kind of hit his knee off the barrier and sort of took a bit of bark off, and then they took him to hospital. He got a bloody staph infection and died. So it's like,
right.
You would think, let's try to sort of avoid, let's not have those kind of tight, those really tight finishes with these big metal barriers.
There's no need. Give them the space.
Yeah,
and just let them have at it. Let the best person win.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think
Big Fella's just popped in here saying Danger, Blitz, Stewie, Collar, Jezza, Atkins, Warple, Jack Henry, Martin, not long left. And obviously there's some merit to that. So I think it's it's important that we go back to our green shoots conversation, what's going on in the VFL, to look at that and go, okay, how do we replace Danger? Now obviously we're talking about Danger present day as opposed to Danger prime. So we're not talking about replacing the best midfielder in the game or anything like that anymore. We're looking at someone who can pop up and, crash a few packs in the forward line and kick 1 or 2 a game. And I think we've got that. It looks a little bit different if we're bringing in an Ollie Wiltshire, for example, but is able to hit the scoreboard in similar fashion. Blitz is obviously, I think, the hardest one. Like I unless Connor O'Sullivan suddenly starts playing off the wing, which I don't think we can afford to let happen, then I don't think we've got a Blitz replacement, but no one does. So I think that's okay.
No, the Blitz is just a unique, he's a unique case, and, I don't think he's someone that you can replace because he's just such a unique talent.
Tom Stewart is one that we speak about. I've certainly spoken about quite a lot, that whenever Tom Stewart's out, Zach Guthrie just becomes Tom Stewart. He plays that role, and then as soon as Tom Stewart's in, he kind of floats back to a more run and gun style of game. So I'm not as is he going to be as good as Tom Stewart? Probably not, but he's not going to be that far off in the role. So I've got like Stewie, obviously huge loss again, but I think we've got a similar-ish player ready to step up and play that role. Collar, he comes out. Oh, see, I see Big Fella cited Jack Henry in there, but Jack Henry's only 27 or something like that. So if Collar was to go the end of next year to Tasmania, I think Jack Henry just assumes that role anyway.
Well, we made a grand final without any contribution from Collar last year anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so
Tom Atkins is obviously be a huge loss, but we've still got time for him. Meanwhile, even if you snapped your fingers and suddenly Tom Atkins is gone now, well, then you've got George Stevens, who's desperately trying to get in there and play that role. He's he's doing a great job of it. I'd have no concerns about him stepping up. So there's a fair few of those names that go, we've already got the next generation to fill that spot there and ready. And they're just waiting and sweating on that opportunity and hoping that they're not delisted or moved on before that opportunity emerges.
Yeah, well, I reckon this is. Oh, geez, that was big. Ooh.
Is this replay after replay of it now?
No, they just showed a replay of it. They were coming around because I just looked up and there was just bikes and bodies everywhere. He's come around. It's wet, so it's been raining, so they've come around a corner, and he's just face planted right into the arm. Oh, yeah. Anyway, no, like the one thing we've always been good at is getting games into young blokes. Like,
yeah.
So when we've had this is what other. Like it happened to Hawthorn, it happened to Brisbane back in the 2000s. All of this, they wrung the absolute most out of
Richmond.
Yeah, exactly. Richmond, exactly the same. Yep, a more recent example, like basically just saying we've just got to get every last little drop out of this group, and then we'll worry about the rest later. Whereas we've been excellent over the years, and this is why we stay up there, because we say we're going to look for every opportunity to get young blokes in here and give them a taste and see what they've got. And it's very rare that we will have blokes on our list that don't get a taste, that just don't play, that never get it, that never get a game. We will always sort of give whoever we've got on our list a little bit of a taste so we can have a look at them.
Yeah, I think our development pipeline is so good. And so these guys will get a crack, and maybe they don't make it. And we're going to see our Chookers and our George Horn-Smiths, and those guys are going to come and go. And hopefully the one selfish one is hopefully George Stevens isn't one of those. But and we didn't even mention when we're going through that list of players from today and those who could make the cut is that obviously Jai Clark was just out with the concussion. So he's another one that's right there and thereabouts as well. So, and yeah, hopefully he's going all right. But to Big Fella's question there, he goes, sorry, hang on, I clicked on the wrong one there. He says, okay, so what does the back line look like in 4 years? For me, I don't think that's personally, I don't see that as an overly difficult question. I see, the two linchpins are going to be Sam de Koning and Connor O'Sullivan, and they're still both going to be, mid to late 20s at that point. So they're still going to have quite a few years ahead of them, even at that stage. Lawson Humphries is another. How old's Zach Guthrie now? I think he's still probably, he'll be north of 30 in 4 years from now, but I think he's still going to be in a pretty good spot at that point. I've lost him on my list. Where am I? There he is. What's he now? He's 27, so he'd be 31. Definitely not cooked. Jack Henry's also 27 at the moment, so he'd still be there and available, and hopefully doing good things. So I think that's just 5 of the 6 already covered. I don't think much changes outside of the fact that Tom Stewart would be out.
Yeah, and probably
Mark O'Connor's still available though too. So there's lots of options there.
Yeah, exactly, and and that's not to
factor in Lenny Hoffman and some of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think Hoffman looks a very likely type. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe get a bit of a look before the year's out.
Yeah, but so the big fella's point, he says not too stale by then. Yeah, you're right. Like maybe one or two of those that we're going, they're already on the list, and they'll only be like 31. Maybe one or two of those start to lose a little bit of it, but we've already got the young bloke who, in Lennox Hoffman or someone else who's ready to step up into that role, where we're obviously going to draft players in the meantime. And that Nigel Lappin development program is, well, going to your point, very few of these young blokes just never get their opportunity or completely wash out. They always seem to be there or thereabouts. And maybe it doesn't, their story doesn't work out at the Cats, but you've got these guys that have come a long, long way and nearly make it. There's a lot of buzz about Killian Burke, and in particular from Nigel Lappin. He just seems to think the world of this young Irishman. He just needs time.
Well, he's another one. Like this is the thing. He's another one that could slot it right in at half back there if his development keeps going the way it's going. Like last year, he looked like he barely seen a Sheeran, and this year, totally different player.
Yeah, so I think it's there. You know, Harley Barker spent a bit of time last year. He's more of a midfielder, but played off half back as well. So I think, and he was our top draft pick from last year. Obviously, there's a question mark there, recovering from an ACL. But you know, Hunter Holmes as well could come in and play off half back, just like his brother's been currently doing. I think we've got an abundance of options that are ready to step up to the plate.
And then there's the other thing. 4 years ago, was Connor O'Sullivan even on the horizon?
No, not for us. No, this is only his third season on an AFL list. So, you know, we're going to inevitably draft someone, or another one or two someones probably in the meantime.
Or find somebody.
Or go and chase an external recruit.
Get another Tom Stewart.
Yeah.
Dig one
the roughie.
Dig one out of the local leagues. Well, I mean, look, you know,
right.
we do it too regularly for it to say, oh, we'll just go and find. We'll just sort of say, oh, we'll go and find somebody else, and then it's like, oh no, well, you know, you got lucky with that. It's like, no, we find. Look at our list. Look at how we found all of these blokes. Like, it's just we've identified certain skill sets in these players. We've had a look at them. We've given an opportunity, and we've developed them, and they've come on. You know, so to say
all of those ones that we mentioned, like the really obscure ones, your Tom Stewarts, your James Podsiadleys, your Tom, but then you've got your Tom Atkins who've just been slaving away in the VFL. You go and pick up a Mark Blitzarves out of nowhere. We've been raiding Ireland, which I could word that better, but like we've been stealing top end talent from Ireland and bringing him over. And I mean, and I said it on the Discord earlier tonight. Shawnee Manor. I didn't even shout him out. Oisin Mullen, 12 months ago, 12 months ago, most of our community, and I'll put myself in this group too, we're calling for his head and like, nah, we've got to get him out. Like maybe he'll work out, but we've got to get him out now. It's not working. And to the credit of the coaching team, they stuck with him, and you could see like he had that big tagging role. I think it might have been on, maybe it was on Dacos or Zach Butters. It was one of those two sometime last year, and he kicked their ass. And suddenly, like, just the growth from that point, he's like, oh, hang on, I'm up to this. And like his roles developed. And last year, 2025 was all about, learning to play that defensive role as best as he possibly could. But now you look at this year and all of a sudden he's adding those offensive strings to the bow. And I said it, I think during the intro of the show tonight, like I am loving where he's at, because most taggers still in the game currently are all about just locking the opponent down. It's the Kane Corn school of tagging, as opposed to what Cameron Ling school of it, which is like, I'm going to squash this bloke, but then
I'm going to get 25 tackles myself.
And I'll probably, hit the scoreboard, or at least, get a few goal assists, whatever it happens to be. I'm loving how his game has developed in the space of 12 months.
And also,
to that point, Ben wronged at the flash highlights. That'd be amazing. He was a real NGA prospect for us last year, and then did his ACL. So he's getting a second crack at it this year, and hopefully it works out for him. We'll get him for peanuts if we decide to go for him this year.
I mean, what I like about Oisin is that you can see him, you could visibly see him growing in confidence every week. Like just the way he moves, the way he carries himself.
Yeah, the body language is very visible.
You can just see that this guy he's starting to think, hey, I can play this game and be quite good at it. And it's not an easy job to be to be that kind of two-way player. But I'll tell you what, if like tonight's anything to go by, he just destroyed the best player in the comp, and got plenty of it himself. that's huge for any player. But for a bloke who, 12 months, we were questioning, is this guy going to make it or not? That's just the progression has just been huge. And that, this is the thing. What I will say in light of what we talked about last Saturday, I said to you, look, the next 4 weeks is going to tell us a fair bit, starting with Saturday night, and here we are.
Nine score involvements for Oisin Mullen as well, as a part of all that we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
along
immense.
with actually team high. I didn't check the game. So team high, no, game high, four centre clearances, equal with Bailey Smith and ahead of Scott Pendlebury, Nick Dacos, Josh Dacos, Chris Reece Stanley. Reece Stanley equal third highest in the night.
But it's like he, except for possessions, like he had Dacos covered in every other department.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the thing. Like, at no point tonight was Nick Dacos getting these sort of damaging possessions that he normally gets.
He was going at 55.2% disposal efficiency on the night.
Like, he really had no impact on the game at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I would argue that aside from chopping, the player that's widely regarded as the best in the comp at the moment out of the game, like you say, with the amount of scoring involvements and stuff, that he actually had more impact offensively than his direct opponent did. So what can you say? And like I say, for a bloke that we were like, we're not sure if he's got what it takes or not. That is a phenomenal improvement.
Yeah. Chalk and cheese.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing, for all the shit we cop as Geelong supporters from the opposition, I'm just like, well, and look, you can say what you like, but even if what you say is true, it's like that doesn't then explain all of these other things,
Yeah.
And the point, the point to me, right, is that yes, it's nice to have the big name guys, right, but at the end of the day, you look at most clubs, and most clubs have a pretty high quality top six, right?
Yeah.
It's not those guys.
Those guys, the rest of the squad. Yeah,
right. Those guys are not
the Carlton situation. Carlton had like their top six. You look at them, their names, they're fantastic.
Yeah, it's not
individually,
the top six.
They're fantastic, but they're and I don't think it was last year, but maybe the year before. I was like, this is the best top six players of any team in the comp, but they had nothing else to support them.
Right, that's it. It's like it's not your top six. It's not. It's important to have you're not going to get anywhere if you don't have a high quality top six. But when it comes to winning a flag, it's not your top six that wins you your flag. It's your bottom six that wins you your flag. And that's what we do, is that we've always got those guys there that we got for nothing, because that's the thing. We don't get handouts from the AFL. We don't get high picks. We don't get
this all smart recruiting
and quality development and sort of and just and that's the thing, is like, I think the interesting thing. I think the interesting thing is, like, there are very few players that we've let go over the years that we've given a bit of a taste and ended up letting go, who went on to, some of them have gone on and had careers, but there've been very few where we've said, "Oh God, can you imagine what we'd do if we had this bloke right now?"
Yeah,
like I can't think of. Like I always say, I feel like the two biggest mistakes we made at the draft in the last 10 or 15, like we left Luke Parker I think he was a Falcons boy, wasn't he? I was like,
yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I think he was a Falcons guy. So like, why didn't we draft him? Like, I could not believe we didn't draft him. I was just absolutely flabbergasted. Like, he went way too low. It's like, yeah, that was. I'm not sure why we didn't take him. I think we had 2 chances to pick him up, if I remember rightly.
I'm taking a bit of a look now at what was the 2010 national draft. Who did we go for? Geelong.
Was that the year we took Mitch Brown?
No. So where did he then get picked? Parker.
Look,
Luke Parker was pick 40. So the selections that we made beforehand were at pick 15, Billy Smets. At pick 23, Cam Guthrie. And pick 37, which is probably the most contentious, like the most challenging one, given how close it was to where Luke Parker ultimately got picked up. We grabbed George Hall and Smith.
I couldn't believe Luke Parker fell to 40 because that was back in the day when I used to go and watch a lot of junior footy.
And he played for the Dandy Stingrays.
Yeah, like I was like, how is this bloke fallen to pick 40? Couldn't figure it out. And the other one was when Brody Grundy was supposed to be like a top 5 pick, except there was a bit of a thing that went around about him being a bit of a.
Oh, damn it. Sorry, Thomas. I knew you were sitting there in the background. I was going to bring you in a sec. Enjoy your night, mate. I'll make sure I push you up in the queue for next week so I can bring you in. Sorry, I just saw his comment there. Have a good one, mate. Enjoy. Go for it.
But yeah, what year did Brody Grundy go?
Let me have a look. He was 2012.
We had the pick before Collingwood took him. Who did we take?
We had the pick 2 before Brody Grundy, and we picked up Jackson Thurlow, who showed a lot of potential but never quite worked out, and then ultimately went over to Sydney and kind of washed out there pretty quickly too.
Yeah,
that's a strange old year, actually. I'm looking at that one. So, like, Lockie Whitfield was pick 1. John O'Rourke was a local from my neck of the woods. Really hoped that worked out, but pick 2. Lockie Plowman didn't really work out. Jimmy Tumpus went to Melbourne, didn't work out. Jake Stringer, Jack McRae, Ollie Wines. There's a Brownlow medalist in there. Sam Mays didn't really work out at Brisbane. Nick Vlosten, Joe Danaher, Troy Menzel didn't work out. Kieran Jack, Jesse Lonergan, Aidan Core, Taylor Garner, Jackson Thurlow, Josh Simpson, Brody Grundy. Like, it's not. And, pick 19, Tim Broomhead was the one that got caught with the he was the drug cheating one, wasn't he, from Collingwood?
I think
Alleged.
So, yeah.
Whatever the exact accusation was in the end, I can't remember. But yeah, looking through that draft, I mean, Jack Viney pops up a bit later on. Camden McIntosh is in there. Wasn't a good draft across the board, really.
Well, Jack Viney was a father-son pick. So that's
True.
why he was down there.
Yeah, Lockie Hunter's later, but he's a father-son as well. But yeah, like this draft wasn't a great one across the board.
Well, I'll put it this way. I saw Jackson Thurlow play for Tassie against Queensland. And he had like 40-odd touches. And both of the college Ashens played that day. And I was saying to me mate on the way home, I said, I said, you know who I said, yeah, you know these guys are gonna go high at some point. Yeah, the Cade Collegiation was going to go pretty high, and Thurlow was going to I didn't think he would go that high, but yeah, he certainly this particular day he had the ball on a string. But we were having a look at the stats after. It was like he had like 40 odd touches. But I was like, I said, tell you who I do like. I like that Jake Collegiation, and he looks a good player. So when we drafted, it was like, you little beauty. He's good. This guy's a good footballer. Kind of flown under the radar a bit. Which
he was definitely in his brother's shadow, but then obviously, unfortunately for his brother, all those concussion issues and.
But yeah, I mean, his brother
playing very different roles too.
Yeah, well, his brother was more of a midfield forward type. But that, like I said, Jake was playing in defence, and I was just like, I like the way this. I like, you could sort of see that he had really good one-on-one skills and really good at reading the play.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I rated Brodie Grundy a top 3 pick that year. I was like, this guy, like, you look at it, a bloke who's he's big, he's mobile, takes a good mark, you play him forward, but apparently,
Athletic
he had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a flake off the field. So, there was a few questions about attitude. And I mean, I think over a few points during his career, he's shown he can be a bit of a prickly customer, but no question in his football ability. So I was like, no knock on Thurlow. Even at the time, I was like, I don't even care if Thurlow works out. It's like we needed a big guy as well at the top. We could have used another big guy at the time, and I was just like, we should have picked him up. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, they're the two major. They were the only two glaring misses where I was like, damn, we could have had those blokes and didn't take them. And they sort of, particularly Parker seemed like our kind of guy too. That was
absolutely,
the thing that kind of puzzled me with that. It's like he just seemed like a Geelong kind of guy. I mean, you can't. Not it's not so much we got him wrong. As such.
But you just wonder what if more than anything else. Yeah.
But yeah, they were just two that like, I'm surprised. I'll be surprised till my dying day that we did not take those guys. But in light of everything else that we've done and are continuing to do, as we've been talking about for the last hour, it's just we just keep turning these guys up. We just keep finding them and bringing them on, and it's and when you look at the Carlton, how the Carlton guys are like over on the jumper punch and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, when I was a kid and I was growing up, I mean, I used to be, when I was a little kid, I was a Carlton supporter. Started following Geelong, and then they immediately proceeded to win flag. They were winning flags in the finals every year. Every year they'd have just this revolving door of great interstate players coming through, and then they were just still getting like quality players through their junior zone and everything. And it's like, even when we had our little period there where we close but no cigar, and then the last
that 80s 90s while they were doing it.
It was them that bloody beat us. It's like, after that game, I was like, did I make the wrong decision? in my despair, it's like,
you stuck it out and it paid off.
But I was like, no. I thought about that for about probably 5 seconds, and then the thought crossed my mind. I was like, shit, no. This
Gary Ablett bloke's pretty handy. I wouldn't mind watching him most weeks.
But I'm telling you, at the end of the last century, if you told me that not even we would swap places with them, like we've pretty much taken their spot. And
absolutely. I mean, we've played in this century. We've played in 7 grand finals, won 4, lost 3, been constantly there or thereabouts, haven't dropped off at any point. It's a pretty awesome story, really.
I mean, look,
not without its downers, of course. Like losing a grand final sucks. But,
I'm pretty sure I've said it on here before, but like since I started following Geelong in 1980, we are far and away, like wins and losses, the most successful side in the comp, and certainly in the AFL era, we've got that covered. Hawthorn's got us covered in premierships, and we've got it covered in everything else.
Win loss, yeah.
So I'm like, it's been a
little bit of bad to take with a hell of a lot of good.
No, it's been a bloody good journey on the balance of things, really. And then you think about the great players you get to see on the side, but the fact that we just continue now, my problem was always just, I remember watching an interview with like one of the early open mics with Doug Wade, and he's sort of talking about, well, we didn't care, we were just there for a kick on the weekend. We didn't care if we won or lost, it was just, we just want to have a kick with our mates. So this is why we've only won 6 flags, you dickhead. Like the Collingwoods and Carltons and Essendons and Hawthorns of this world, they're out there. And
Richmond and win at all costs.
They'll. Yeah, that's it. They want to win at all costs, and we didn't have that. And it wasn't
no mud rule there.
Yeah,
and Carlton obviously did it, as Big Fella says. We did it without paper bags, though, Carlton.
Well, some people would dispute that, but
some people want to claim that we're throwing away blocks of land willy nilly, but they'd be wrong.
But like I think. The fact that, it's not just that we won some flags and stuff like that, but we built a culture, and not just a culture of, will we win, but a culture of developing guys and, being a place that players not just want to play because the money's good or they're going to win some games of footy, but because they know that they're going to improve as footballers, by coming to our
people as well. Club.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, to see where to think where Geelong was when I started following us, and we, like I say, we were a side that was sort of talent. Always had a fair share of talent. We win a flag here and there, and make a few final series of stuff like that, but. We weren't that fussed about, we didn't seem that fussed about being the, challenging the Carltons and Essendons and Collingwoods of this world to what we are today. And days like today just kind of, when you see, and you look at where, whether we win it, whether I think we're good enough still to go on and win it this year, that remains to be seen. We've got a couple of weeks that's going to put that, we've got a couple of weeks now that's going to really put that to the test. But,
I'm far more hopeful than what I was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think, just watching both sides play, I didn't, because I had to go down to Melbourne last week, so I didn't get I was sort of listening to the VFL stream on my radio in the car because I had to run errands and stuff, so I didn't get to have a good look at it. So actually being able to watch both teams play this afternoon and this evening, and just to just sit back and say, man, there's a lot of talent getting around in this football club right now, and even if we're not quite good and we may not quite be there for a premiership this year, I said that remains to be seen, but I said, look, I can't see us dropping off the perch anytime soon, given what I saw today. And
they'll continue to be relevant.
Right. And, you've got to be in it to win it. So, so I think if I can sort of take anything out of it at the moment, it's just like, we might not quite be good enough to win it, but we're certainly not going to be dropping off anytime soon.
No, there'll be smiles on Cats fans' faces most weeks. Well, mate, I reckon we might use that as an opportunity to start to wind things down. The stream's gone for, what are we going for, 2.5 hours at this point. That's short by recent standards, but with it being Mother's Day tomorrow, I might try and get myself some rest so I can look after my wife and help my kids to do the same. And
yeah, we got to get up and make pancakes and stuff in the morning. So
all those sorts of good things. So before we wrap up, though, I'll need to get your 3-2-1 from today. So who's in your votes?
I think I'm giving 3 votes to O'Sheen for his performance both ways today. Just an outstanding game from him. And as we talk, I don't think we can add much. I can add much more to what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
I'm giving 2 votes to Warple for he was he sort of held the fort early on, put in a good 4-quarter performance. And I could have given votes to a lot of guys, but I think I've got to give another 1 vote to Ollie Henry for his lively performance up forward this evening. Just continuing, building again on what I gave him a vote last week. Had a better game this week, so I sort of had to squeeze him in there. Would have liked to have given probably 3 or 4 other blokes a vote. Baz obviously had 40 touches. SDK was good. 2
Matt
or
Holmes
3
was good throughout. Yeah.
Yep. Solid. It's always you've always had a good win when you can't fit everybody you'd like to in the votes.
Yeah. No, it was a good game. Everything worked out nicely. Well, thanks as always for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you. And look forward to doing it all again. Well, actually, I said it before. Ben's going to be taking the duties next week. My wife's going to be in Alice Springs, going to Uluru with some people next. Yeah, tricky time, but I believe it'll all be fine by the time she gets there. But she's going to be there with some friends, so I'm staying here.
You're holding the fort.
I'm holding the fort up with the kids, so I can't afford to pop in here for 2.5 or more hours in case something goes wrong with the kids. So,
that's fair enough.
I'll make a little cameo appearance, but otherwise Ben will be on the job next week. So I'll chat to you properly in 2 weeks from now.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one, and I'll chat soon.
You too. See ya.
See you, mate. There we go. That brings this one to an end. As I said before, Cats got the job done by 54 points. That was 18 goals, 14, 122, beating the Pies 9-14, 68. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in tonight, who's shared their thoughts in the chat, who's dropped super chats, who have jumped into the call and spoken as well. Please don't hesitate to do so on any given week. Like I said just a moment ago, Ben will be taking the reins next week for me. Though I'll pop in and look forward to chatting to all of you along the way as well. So that's where we'll wrap things up. It's been a 2.5 hour long stream. Cats got the job done comfortably in the end. It was a good time by all, and I'm feeling pretty good about our, the way we can carry ourselves into a game against Brisbane next week. Anyway, that's where we'll wrap things up. I won't go through all the usual plugs to finish things up. You know where to find us on social media. You know where to find me, Paul James Games. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon. But until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.
It's time for the show. Dropping pussy down facts, mitts, forwards and backs. Representing G-Town while talking the smack. Clashing facts like Patty, where the hell you at? Whose crew are exploding? Don't ever look back. Then we got Paul, yeah, he knows his stuff. He's a man, he's a myth, taking on the nuffs. The man don't miss, he loves to react. His words cut deep, he's a counterattack. Balls on fire, brings a mic to life. Don't fuck with P-Dog if you value your life. Oh, they fuck shit up, yeah, they run G-Town. The Hoops crew's here and they'll never back down. Jake, Tommy, Sambo, always rocking the game. Betty and Paul, man, remember the names. In the studio, Jake's bringing the noise. With Johnny and Sambo, the chaps chat boys, they're electric and they're ready to roll. The boys are on fire and they're taking control. Recaps and previews, yeah, they cover it all. Part of the Hoops crew with Betty and Paul. They fuck shit up, yeah, they run G-Town. The Hoops crew, baby, they'll never back down. Jake, Johnny, Sambo, always rocking the game. Betty and Paul, chasing glory and fame. Brad with the sleeves, Max Holmes and Jack Bose. Tommy fucking Atkins, he'll break your damn nose. Stewie in the middle, and Reese in the ruck. They see Big Jezza and they know they're fucked. They're the T-Town boys, go hard or go home. They're fucking insane, taking over the throne. Oh, they fuck shit up, yeah, they run T-Town. The Hoops